a.m. St. Louis, KMOX FM, Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Jurors in Sean Combs' sex trafficking trial start the day with more deliberations after reaching a partial verdict, but stalling on the most serious charge. Correspondent Jared Hill from New York.
The racketeering charge relies at least in part on the others. The RICO allegation that he used his businesses and employees as a criminal enterprise to facilitate and cover up alleged illegal activity related to Combs coercing then-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and Jane Doe into drug-fueled sex marathons with male sex workers.
Lawmakers in the House are racing back to Washington to take up the president's so-called big, beautiful spending bill after it squeaked through the Senate. But bad weather's canceled thousands of flights. Wisconsin Democrat Mark Pocan.
I'm driving to Chicago, hoping to get one of the first flights, 6 a.m. Going to get back, though, to vote no for sure.
CBS's Nicole Killian says some Republicans may join him.
Many conservative hardliners like Chip Roy have indicated they're inclined not to support this. In fact, even suggesting that the odds of trying to get this done by July 4th just went down. So it is going to take some heavy lifting to get it over the finish line in the House.
CBS and our parent company, Paramount Global, have announced a settlement in a case brought by President Trump. He sued over a 60 Minutes interview with then Vice President Harris during the last presidential campaign. Paramount has agreed to pay $16 million to cover attorney's fees, with the rest donated to Mr. Trump's future presidential library. None of that money goes directly to the president. The settlement does not include an apology. The Trump administration is withholding $6.8 billion Congress allocated for schools.
The money was supposed to be delivered this week to pay for after-school and summer school programs, teacher training, and programs for students learning English. The Education Department would only say the funding is under review, even though President Trump approved it in March. Tony Thurmond is California's Superintendent of Public Instruction.
This is an illegal action and a moral action that has grave harm for the students in our state.
Many schools have already hired staff for the affected programs. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
The Dalai Lama wants to make sure centuries-old Tibetan Buddhism continues after he dies. The 90-year-old is calling for a search for a successor without outside interference. The BBC's Laura Bicker is in Beijing.
The Chinese government has announced that it wants to find its own Dalai Lama within China through a system of evaluation and lot drawing.
Dow futures up 90. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com.
It is 6:03, and right now in downtown St. Louis, we've got sunshine, 67 degrees in downtown St. Louis. And I'm Debbie Monterrey. Good morning.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. A story you have only heard on KMOX. Hundreds of Walgreens pharmacy customers look for answers on why they cannot get prescriptions because of closures or medication being out of stock. Our Maria Kina has an update on what you should do to try and get some answers.
This started with a couple of posts on the social media platform Nextdoor. People had complained for unexplained closures at the Walgreens pharmacies at Hampton and Chippewa and Hampton and Gravois. But KMOX soon found out it wasn't just those two closures. It is throughout the St. Louis region at many of the Walgreens pharmacies, even Festus.
Every time I call, it's saying, hey, there's 3 or more people ahead of you. And it's like that for hours. And if it's not like that, maybe after 45 minutes, someone will pick up the phone and say, thank you for calling Walgreens. Let me put you on hold. I'll go on hold. And then it's another 30, 45 minutes. And it took it happening to me for almost 6 hours one day.
Fran saw that I couldn't get it at any other Walgreens, including the one I always use, until the following Tuesday. But the one at Hampton and Chippewa said they could get it to me next afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I got a message that it was ready and on Friday, and before I could get there, I got another message saying it was closed again.
KMOX has contacted Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office and explained the hundreds of complaints we've received. I was told to launch an investigation. They must have complaints. We have put the link and phone number to file those complaints at KMOX.com. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy, the first outsider to lead the department in more than 200 years, could also be the last. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch says the new state law returning control of the police department to a governor-appointed board removes a provision allowing outside chief hires. The change was not widely discussed during the bill's debate. The new law states that the chief must be selected from current members of the force, effectively making it easier for longtime officers to ascend to the top job.
He advocated for the state to take back control of the St. Louis City Police Department. How does St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman think now that board members have been named?
Ellman says he wishes there was someone with experience in policing sitting on the board, but has heard good things about all those chosen. With Governor Mike Kehoe saying the board will not dictate how police do their jobs, does Ellman want to see big or subtle changes?
I don't think there should be anything subtle about it. We've got a serious problem, and there needs to be changes made so we get a different result than we've had the last few years in terms of crime generally and the number of murders in particular.
Ellman says St. Louis City's reputation of crime hurts St. Charles. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Our metropolitan region is getting a big boost in population from new Asian and Hispanic residents, but those groups are not necessarily settling in St. Louis City.
The most alarming population numbers continue to come out of St. Louis City.
The city has experienced the largest population decline in our 15-county MSA, and it's coming from the Black population and the white population.
St. Louis University demography professor Ness Sandoval says St. Louis City is second in the country in terms of Black population loss and number one for large cities in terms of overall population loss.
I don't see, at least in the next couple of years, the city being able to turn this around.
He says housing for families will be crucial in attracting Asian and Hispanic populations to St. Louis City. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Sandoval points out while St. Charles County is the fastest growing county in the region, 77% of the growth is residents 60 and over.
Southwest Airlines customers are bracing for some big changes. Michael Calhoun tells us what CEO Bob Jordan is saying about it all.
Southwest is the largest airline at Lambert Airport and funnels a lot of connections through STL. Some of the changes include
the flight without bag fees.
Cheaper.
Free.
We love taking care of bags.
Charging for checked bags and ending open seating.
We won't stop here. So we're going to keep changing.
Jordan tells WFAA TV in Dallas-Fort Worth they're open to other changes like opening lounges or crossing oceans.
No matter what you think, what we think, what I think sitting here, you've got to follow the customer. And it's really clear that our customers want changes. They want other options in the cabin. They want assigned seating. I mean, 80% of our customers told us they want assigned seating. 85% of customers that don't fly us want assigned seating. And the number one reason people leave us or won't book us is because of open seating.
He also says they check industry prices every day to make sure Southwest tickets are competitive. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
The Group Women's March is organizing events across the country this 4th of July to fight authoritarianism. There will be dozens of sites, including rallies planned for St. Louis, Rolla, and St. Joseph, Missouri, as well as Springfield and Chicago.
We'll check traffic and weather next. It's 6:08.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley telling you about i3 Broadband. You've heard me talk about them. They provide the internet in my home. I love them so much. The reliability is great. Let's talk about price for a moment, though. They've got an introductory rate at $19.99 a month for one of their service options. No bundle ever required. You're going to save $10 a month over the cable company. They've got great pricing on all of their different packages, going up to 8 gigs upload and download speed, always mirrored. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
Cash for Clunkers is back. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers now. They'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards a new insulated door. $200 for the first garage door and $100 for each additional door. Cash in your old entry door, too. It's Cash for Clunkers now at Overhead Door Company of St. Louis. Convenient, free, in-home estimates. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com or call 314-781-5200.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
It is 6:10 and time for us to check in with Roger Brand, who is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. It's a beautiful sunny morning. How are the roadways looking, Roger?
Yeah, they're pretty sunny looking too, Debbie. It's a pretty nice one for most folks. So I've been watching some things out in St. Charles County. I had a couple of different issues. We had the overnight road work. It's gone now, southbound 61 south of P. Then we had a ladder reported in the roadway, eastbound 64 near Highway K. Now, I don't know if this was the reason, but I do see an incident on the shoulder. Everybody's staying out of the right lane. It looks like maybe it's a minor crash, eastbound 64 west of K. So there's a slowdown about midway in from Winghaven past that scene. But again, no lane blockage. Folks are just doing them a courtesy by staying out of the right lane there. So that's nice to see, but that's the reason for the slowdown right now on eastbound 64. So that just popped up in the last couple of minutes. Northbound 270, that's a little slow right through the McNutt area. And we do have an injury crash reported on the north side at Dr. King and Kinlan. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg with our forecast. It's going to be a hot one.
Plenty of sunshine today and becoming a little bit hotter this afternoon with a high of 90. The AccuWeather real fuel temperature will head for the mid-90s. It'll be clear and warm tonight, though 71. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 92. The real fuel's in the upper 90s. Friday, Independence Day, mostly sunny and hot. The high 96. Real fuels will head over 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we have a clear sky. The sun is up. It's 67 degrees downtown at the Arch, and the weather is sponsored by Fairmount Park Casino and Racing. Long Shots Restaurant is now open. Enjoy delicious food, refreshing drinks, and unbeatable trackside views. Fairmount Park Casino and Racing. Twice the action, double the fun. 20 minutes from St. Louis.
It is 6:12 and the news continues. House lawmakers scrambling back to the Capitol to take up the Senate's updated version of President Trump's massive spending package.
With 3 Republicans voting no, it narrowly cleared the Senate. The president's signature legislation would extend $4.5 trillion in tax cuts while adding new tax relief on tips and overtime pay. It also cuts roughly $1 trillion from healthcare programs like Medicaid and is estimated to add trillions to the deficit. Early this morning, the House Rules Committee adjourned after a marathon debate.
This bill gets Americans back to winning again.
If this ugly bill passes, it's going to get a lot uglier when people realize what's in it.
House Republicans also slamming Senate changes.
I'm against this because what the Senate did, I'll vote against it here, and I'll vote against it on the floor until we get it right.
On Fox News, House Speaker Mike Johnson acknowledged a bumpy road ahead.
Getting it done by July 4th will be purely poetic and perfect for all of us.
President Trump yesterday showed optimism.
We had a big day today. The bill passed, and I think it's going to do very well in the House.
He's expected to speak to lawmakers over the next couple of days to shore up more support. Jared Hill, CBS News.
My colleague's amendment would completely undermine this very important effort.
Missouri Junior Senator Eric Schmidt on the Senate floor accusing Democrats of introducing a provision in the mega bill that would hurt people with disabilities who have been on waiting lists to receive services.
My colleague's amendment would completely undermine this very important effort. Ripping out important transparency and accountability provisions will divert intended resources for those who need it most in order to pay off public sector unions along the way. That's all this is.
Schmidt also accused his Democratic colleagues of pushing a lie that the mega bill will cut benefits to Medicaid.
Lynn Jackson, great-great-granddaughter of Dred and Harriet Scott, spoke at the Missouri Historical Society Library and Research Center Monday night. MHS is kicking off a fundraising initiative to commission a portrait of Harriet Scott that will hang alongside the iconic portrait of Dred, which MHS commissioned in 1888. She says the Scott's daughter babysat for her dad.
Youngest daughter of Dred and Harriet Scott was Lizzie, and she always said, "Call me Aunt Lizzie." She lived to be 2 months shy of 100. And she was born in 1846, and she died in December of 1945.
Lizzie died at Homer G. Phillips Hospital in the Ville. MHS is also fundraising to restore the Dred Scott portrait, $60,000 total. The portraits will be part of a new signature exhibit, Gallery STL, opening in 2028.
Cardinals lost last night to the Pirates, and they were shut out again, this time 1-0 in a contest that saw Andre Palante allow one hit. Unfortunately, his offense was not performing. They were facing one of the best pitchers in the game, Paul Skeens, who went 5 scoreless, walking 1, allowing 5 hits, striking out 5. Skeens' ERA drops to 2.03. But the Cardinals have had struggles scoring and doing so against NL Central teams. In fact, that's 4 consecutive shutouts against NL Central foes. They swept the Guardians in between those series against the Cubs and the Pirates. Here's manager Ollie Marmol on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest.
Gosh, it's one of those games where I loved it and hated it all at the same time. We did some things well, to your point, against Skeens. Obviously you want to put a couple on him, but if you can't, getting him out after 5 is a task in itself. And our guys did a nice job of making him throw pitches. There's a good approach against him. We came up a little short, but we had opportunities, man. You look at when you're facing a guy like him, it's hard when you pass up on opportunities. We got doubled off. We didn't get the bunt down. Left the runner on third, and those are all things that are tough.
The Cardinals hope to put that pressure on the Pirates today with Sonny Gray. Their ace will take the mound. It's an 11:35 first pitch in Pittsburgh from Mitch Keller. With Gray to follow, the Cardinals are 4 games out in the National League Central, trailing the Cubs as they visit them this weekend at Wrigley Field. The Blues made a pair of moves yesterday. First, trading Zach Bolduc to the Montreal Canadiens for young defenseman Logan Mailloux. Here is general manager Doug Armstrong.
In a league where you have to give something to get something, we gave something that we had not a surplus in, but a good winger that we have wingers in, and I think Montreal gave something on the right defense that they have a surplus in. So
the Blues are still looking for a second line center. They did sign a fourth line center yesterday, Nick Bjugstad. He replaces Radek Faksa, who went back to the Dallas Stars. Tonight at Energizer Park in downtown West, the United States men's national team will take on Guatemala. And coming back to St. Louis, his hometown, went to St. Dominic, played for Scott Gallagher and SLU, is Tim Ream.
Yeah, huge. It's always nice coming back here. It's always nice to play in your hometown. I think it's something that as a kid you always dream of, never knowing that you're going to get that opportunity, and to be able to do it with representing your country, representing your town, your family, your friends is it's always special.
The Gold Cup semifinal is tonight. Energizer Park starts at 6:00. I'm Tom Ackerman. The Inside Pitch was sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Quite simply, McKelvey Homes is Missouri's oldest and most respected name in home building. McKelvey Homes was founded in 1898, a long-standing tradition of quality craftsmanship and exceptional value. McKelvey Homes is committed to the highest standards of excellence. This is Tom Ackerman, my good friend Jim Brennan, the president of McKelvey Homes. has let me know this for years, and he's letting you know whether you choose one of their thoughtfully designed communities or if you prefer a custom home on your own lot. McKelvey builds the most sought-after locations. They're always looking for great places where families truly want to live. They offer innovative home designs to suit every lifestyle, and they provide personalized service to guide you through every step of the process. They just take all the stress out of buying a home, and building a home. McKelvey Homes. Offering homes in the St. Louis and St. Charles area, McKelveyHomes.com. Move up to McKelvey.
Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:20, time for us to check traffic and weather as we head towards this holiday weekend. A lot of people probably taking a long one, but it's going to be hot. We'll have more details in just a second. But first, your ride in from Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're doing all right out there. Pretty easy going on this Wednesday morning so far, Debbie. This traffic report service of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. I don't really see any backups at Dr. King and Kinlan. That's where we had a report of an injury crash. Now, I do still see a backup. Can't tell if that crash is still on the shoulder, though, but there was a crash on the shoulder eastbound 64, about midway between Winghaven and K, and we're bogged down at Winghaven now on eastbound 64. So there's a bit of a backup. It actually is bumper to bumper for a good chunk of that on the drive through. On the south side, northbound 55, a little busy through McNutt up to the Joachim Creek. The right lanes, as you ramp onto North 270, look a little busy. But after that, Bayless up to River to Pear looks fine. Emergency repair work starting to see a bit of a slowdown. Eastbound 5570, east of 64. Again, the two left lanes closed there between 64 and 203. They hope to have it wrapped up by 5 this evening. But even if it runs till 5, that's a good chunk of your afternoon commute that's going to be a mess, just like it was yesterday. Are you considering life insurance? Penn Mutual's accelerated client experience makes applying for life insurance fast and easy. Ask your independent advisor or go to pennmutual.com/STL. Next update is 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Our weather, Roger, is going to be hot, and the humidity is going to start coming back. We are a bit hotter this afternoon, says Joe Lundberg. A high of 90 will feel like the mid-90s. Tonight, clear, low 71. Tomorrow, sunny and hot, high 92. Real feels in the upper 90s. For the 4th of July, hot and humid, plenty of sunshine, high 96. It's going to feel like we're over 100 that day. Pretty nice morning right now. It's clear and 68 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:22. A woman whose body has remained unidentified for 35 years now has a name. Madison County Sheriff Jeff Connor says forensic and DNA evidence helped investigators identify her as Wendy Nadine Michael. She was 30 years old when her body was found by a farmer July 20th, 1990 near Troy. Sheriff Connor says,
They say cold case, but they're really not cold cases to us. We're always looking, always investigating these cases. I hate to use the word cold case because we're always interested in these cases.
He says she left behind 2 children, one of whom is still alive. The investigation into her death continues.
If the McCloskeys don't have a criminal record anymore, can they get their guns back? Mark and Patricia McCloskey are the couple photographed pointing guns at protesters outside their Central West End home in 2020. A court previously ruled Governor Parsons' pardon of McCloskey didn't extinguish the consequences flowing from his guilty plea, and therefore he can't get his guns back. But an appeals court just yesterday ruled the pardon means McCloskey's record can get expunged. Here's KMOX legal analyst Brad Young sorting it all out.
The consequences of their initial finding of guilt meant that their guns were removed, and the subsequent pardon by the governor did not change that. It simply removed the conviction. Now the question becomes, now that their records have been expunged, is that in of itself a basis then to challenge the fine or the prior award by the Court of Appeals that held that they could not get their guns back?
The results are in, and the person who will fill Mayor Kara Spencer's former Ward 8 seat on the Board of Aldermen is Jamie Cox Antwi. She got 55% of the more than 1,900 votes in the special election. There were 5 people running for that seat.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker chooses his running mate. Carolina Garibay reports.
Pritzker announced that former state representative Christian Mitchell is joining the ticket as a candidate for lieutenant governor of Illinois.
I am so excited to be joining JB in this moment because it's more critical than ever.
Mitchell is currently first lieutenant in the Illinois National Guard and vice president of civic engagement at the University of Chicago. He served as deputy governor for more than 4 years, and Pritzker says during that time he got a lot done for people and demonstrated how much he cares about Illinoisans.
As the people of Illinois get to know Christian better, they're going to see somebody who cares deeply about the working families of Illinois, about the middle class, and fighting for our most vulnerable. He's done it for his whole career, and now he'll do it as our lieutenant governor.
For the first time in the history of the University of Missouri-St. Louis, a college gets a name. It's the Ed G. Smith College of Business. Ed Smith is a St. Louis native who earned his bachelor's and master's degrees from UMSL and has headed American Direct Marketing Resources since 1983. School officials did not disclose how much money Smith donated for the naming honor, but they say it was a significant investment. According to the Post-Dispatch, there will be a ribbon cutting and public celebration of the business college's new name in August.
Trivers is celebrating its golden anniversary. The St. Louis-based architecture, planning, and urban design firm was founded in 1975 by Andrew Trivers, who helped shape the company into a nationally recognized leader in historic preservation and adaptive reuse. Most recently, Trivers won the 2025 Housing Award from the American Institute of Architects for transforming the massive Butler Brothers warehouse in downtown West into the Victor, where its offices are now located.
There's a drone mystery as the U.S. men's national soccer team is practicing at City SC's compound. ESPN soccer reporter Jeff Carlisle says there were 3 U.S. team drones filming practice yesterday when a 4th drone appeared. U.S. Soccer says that drone remains unidentified. The drone landed outside the perimeter of the fence. Carlisle reports that officials don't sound too concerned.
From the KMOX archives, on this date 7 years ago, rescue divers in Thailand found 12 boys and their soccer coach who had been trapped by flooding as they explored a cave more than a week earlier.
How many of you? 13. Brilliant.
The group was found by 2 British divers in a chamber about 2.5 miles from the cave's entrance. The complex operation to extract them involved hundreds of rescuers from various countries and faced immense challenges due to rising waters and narrow passages. All 13 were successfully brought to safety by July 10th, completing a remarkable rescue.
It is 6:27, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Gamma Tree Experts. What a great group of people. GammaTree.com. Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Founded in 1954 by Frank Gamma. Started the business with a pickup truck and hand tools. Well, look at it today. Gamma Tree Experts is a full-service tree care firm specializing in the preservation of your valuable trees. They know you love that tree, and they're going to help you preserve it. Knowledge and quality are hallmarks of their reputation. Gamma Tree Experts has a team of certified arborists, horticulturists, and foresters. These are people you want taking a look at your trees and working on them. All work is performed to industry standards by a team of experienced tree workers. Gamma Tree Experts. You'll appreciate their prompt, friendly service as well. They are great. GammaTree.com, 314-725-6159. Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs, attorneys, and for my money, Mark Cantor Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
It is 6:30. Right now, it is sunny in downtown St. Louis. It is 67 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterrey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. For the last half hour, if you've been watching us on Facebook, X, or YouTube, you are the first to see Total Information AM hosts on camera.
Good morning.
As we have done. We got to get you a camera, Roger Brand. You're in the overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Oh, I like radio. With just you can just imagine what I look like hearing my voice. But yeah, that's cool. It's it's technology. It's the way things go these days. So welcome to the show. If you're on the highways, the show looks pretty good actually right now, Tom. If you're on eastbound Highway 30, that's about the busiest spot I see. From Mauer Industrial up the hill to 270, it's slow. Northbound 55, still a little busy right through McNutt to Rackham Creek area. It's slowing down. Butler Hill through Mattis, but still looks okay north of Bayless up to River to Pear. The delays we had, they cleared that crash that was on the shoulder eastbound 64 west to K. We had heavy traffic coming in from almost Winghaven, but that has thinned out now, and it looks great on 64 or 70 across the Missouri River bridges. Downtown, the Poplar Street looks great, wide open westbound, but don't forget that emergency repair work's going on eastbound. There is slow traffic on 5570 from 64 midway into 203. Those left lanes closed till about 5 this evening. Maybe they'll wrap up early. Otherwise, it's going to be another rough afternoon commute. Next update is 640 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be a pretty nice day today, a little bit like yesterday with mostly sunny skies, but a little bit hotter in the mid 90s. And then tomorrow, upper 90s, at least that'll be the real feels. Real high will be probably around 92. It's going to be Friday when it really starts to heat up with a high of 96 and real feels over 100 degrees. It's 67 now.
The family of a man who died during the May 16th tornado is suing the city of St. Louis for failing to sound emergency sirens. 82-year-old Larry Patrick was killed when a tree fell on his home on Margaretta Avenue. KSDK reports that the lawsuit also says the city failed to maintain the tree. The lawsuit asks for a jury trial and seeks damages of at least $25,000. On May 16th, the tornado siren was never activated. Mayor Spencer cited protocol failures, and the city's emergency management agency commissioner was later put on administrative leave.
The city is offering to help those who need to make home repairs after the tornado.
The new programs can help connect residents with free weatherization repairs and electrical repairs to help reconnect them to the grid. If your home is in need of more complex repairs, Mayor Kara Spencer suggests residents sign up for the new Ask an Architect program.
Working with the AIA, the American Institute of Architects, the St. Louis local chapter here, to launch a drop-in free consultation program at City Hall.
Spencer says the city is also launching a database of reputable, licensed, and insured contractors they have vetted to help residents avoid falling for scammers. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Native son, St. Louis Auxiliary Bishop Mark Rivatuso is moving on up the church hierarchy ladder. Pope Leo XIV has named him the new Archbishop of Mobile, Alabama. KMOX religion editor Fred Bottomer reports.
The Mobile Archdiocese has 107,000 members in 83 parishes. Archbishop-elect Rivatuso told a news conference there he's thrilled with the elevation.
When I'm in the African-American community and I talk to the members, I always love to engage, and I will say to them, how are you doing today? And they will say, I am blessed. How often I hear that, I am blessed. And that response is the right response. I am blessed. And I will say, I am blessed being with you today and blessed with this appointment from Pope Leo.
The new Archbishop is 63 years old and a graduate of St. Mary's High School, Cardinal Glennon College, and Kenrick Seminary. He was elevated to auxiliary bishop here in 2017. He'll be installed in about 2 months in Mobile. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. Stick around because we've got the latest from Bloomberg. Your money report is coming up next at 6:34.
Selling your car online sounds easy. Snap a few pics, list a price, then what? Wait weeks, haggle with strangers? At Suntrop Ford, we actually make it easy to sell your car. Visit Suntrop Ford Kirkwood or Westport, and our expert appraisers will give you a fast, fair offer on the spot. Or skip the trip and get an instant quote at suntropford.com. No guesswork, no games, just the best price. Visit suntropford.com today. Get more. at Suntrup Ford.
When you retire, the paycheck from your job will likely stop. But here's what won't stop: bills, taxes, and medical issues. Sure, there's Social Security, but that may not be enough. Steve All and his team at the All Financial Group can show you potential ways to develop a new stream of income that can last as long as you live. Kind of like having your own personal pension. You won't have to worry about whether the market is up or down or who's sitting in the White House. You can spend your time instead on the things that matter, like family, friends, and doing the things you never had time to do before. Call Steve All today at 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824 and schedule a custom income review at no charge, or find us online at yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice.
635, your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano, elder law attorneys.
Good morning. This report is sponsored by Total Wine and More. A California jury ordered Google to pay $314 million for a data privacy violation. The panel found that the internet giant used cellular data from Android phones to collect information about users without their knowledge. Users contended their phones were programmed to transfer data to Google servers. Google says it strongly disagrees with the verdict and it plans to appeal. More job market indicators are on the way this morning. We'll get reports on June layoffs and private sector hiring ahead of the Labor Department's monthly employment report, which comes out tomorrow. Cyber criminals have targeted several global airlines in recent weeks. Qantas is the latest carrier to be victimized. The Australian airline says a significant amount of customer data was stolen from one of its contact centers. And Toyota will hold off on electric vehicle production in the U.S. The company says gas-powered and hybrid versions of its Grand Highlander SUV are still big sellers, and it has to free up manufacturing capacity to produce them. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to my computer career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
At California Psychics, we know that sometimes you can wake up thinking,
I don't know if I'm in the right career, or the right relationship.
but whatever your life dilemma, at California Psychics, we'll give you the guidance you need to feel certain about your life choices. And because we only connect you with the very best, we guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. California Psychics. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com today for limited time off. Here's a few questions for you from California Psychics. Do your workdays seem to go on forever? Is your career progression as fast as downtown traffic? Or does your boss still not know your name?
Hey, you, Tina, Lisa, Sheila, whatever. Get that report to me by lunch, okay? It's Terry, ma'am. Just get it done, Terry.
It's time to read the career warning signs and talk to California Psychics. We're always on hand to give you the career guidance you need. You see, we only connect you with the very best. In fact, 98% of the psychics who apply to work with us don't make the grade. That's why we can guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. So you could soon be telling your boss where to stick that report.
Where are you going, Terry? Terry!
Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics. Call 1-800-PREDICT today and get 20 minutes for just $20.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleman Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
Eggland's Best. The only eggs with more fresh and delicious taste, plus superior nutrition. Available in so many delicious varieties. Classic, cage-free, organic, free-range, and pasture-raised. Eggland's Best. better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gas House Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
President Donald Trump's tax and domestic policy bill narrowly passed the U.S. Senate yesterday with a 51-50 vote as Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. Nearly 1,000-page document now heads to the House for consideration. The bill faced opposition from some Republicans over its projected $3.3 trillion debt increase and more than $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts by 2035.
All right, let's get you to work on time. You'll need the sunglasses this morning. And you'll need Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
But we're still looking good unless the sun's getting in your eyes, Debbie, on the drive in. This traffic reports a service of the U.S. Air Force Band of Mid-America 4th of July concert. So if you're on southbound 61, it's just getting a little busy. Wentzville Parkway on down to 64, but after that, it's cruising all the way in through 270. There's a little more volume on northbound 270. Let's call it Doherty Ferry to Manchester, where it's slow. Eastbound 30, Mauer up the hill to 270 is kind of busy. Northbound 55, the right lane's a little slow at Mattis, and it looks like we have a little slowdown now from about Loughborough up through Virginia on that run. The only backup we have, per se, is on eastbound 64, jam approaching 5570 on through Exchange. Those two left lanes closed on eastbound 5570 Exchange for emergency repair work. They hope to have it wrapped up by 5 p.m., but even if they do wrap it up by 5, that still means a good chunk of the afternoon commute is going to be tough getting into Illinois. Next update is 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Celebrate Independence Day with a free concert by the U.S. Air Force Band of Mid-America. July 2nd, 7 p.m. at Logan University in Chesterfield, showcasing patriotic music and more. Get free tickets at afbandtix.org. That's afbandtix.org.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg is with us. Well, that July 4th forecast is going to be a roaster, isn't it, Joe?
It is indeed, Tom. We're expecting temperatures to be in the 90s. Really starting today, we'll get close to 90 this afternoon with sunshine. It's a little warmer than it has been the past 2-3 days, but nothing but sunshine. A clear night tonight down to 71. Sunny skies tomorrow, a little bit hotter up to 92. Independence Day itself, we're talking 96 with real field temperatures over 100 and a lot of sunshine. We'll keep the partly sunny skies going for Saturday with a high of 97. A little bit more in the way of cloud cover for Sunday as a front approaches. That could lead to a thunderstorm. Temperatures Sunday in the low 90s. Right now, 66 in St. Peter, 69 at Florissant, sunshine at 71 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
The news continues at 6:42. The results are in, and the person who will fill Mayor Kara Spencer's former Ward 8 seat on the Board of Aldermen is Jamie Cox Antwi. She got 55% of the more than 1,900 votes in the special election. There were 5 people running for that seat.
Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe signs his first state budget. Elisa Nelson reports.
Governor Kehoe says the budget totals $50.8 billion, with nearly $511 million in vetoes, reductions, and spending holds. The governor has lowered the core funding increase for Missouri's public colleges and universities to 1.5%. He has also slashed funding for several K-12 education and infrastructure-related items, including teacher recruitment and road construction projects.
Just as any Missouri family understands, we cannot spend beyond our means.
The governor has approved fully funding state aid to K-12 public schools, as well as $91 million for rural road upgrades.
Contract negotiations between MU Healthcare and Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield seem to still be at an impasse. Representatives from both sides testified before the Missouri Senate Insurance Banking Committee on Monday. Rich Novak, who represented Anthem, says his side would be willing to agree to the existing policy contract language and would go for a 3-year increase.
CPI was recently published at 2.3. We'll agree to 3.3 with all the existing provisions. Provisions, by the way, which if altered, would save the state a lot of money. Right here, right now, we could end this.
MU Healthcare Chief Financial Officer Rick Ransom said they would agree to a 9% annual increase over a 3-year period. There is no word on whether the two sides plan to meet again.
McBride Homes and a contractor resolved their dispute, which had put mechanics liens on 407 homes in the area. The contractor, Builders Block, accused McBride of failing to pay for $10 million in work. It also accused McBride of filing fraudulent real estate records in order to evade liens. McBride at the time countered by saying a former contractor has chosen to harass families who have nothing to do with this dispute. But then McBride last month paid off that $10 million, it says, to get the liens lifted. The two companies say they have resolved all outstanding matters.
Well, who's flying for the 4th?
AAA says more Americans will be traveling this week than in years past. Projected air travelers from Missouri and Illinois not increasing from the previous year, but air travel is up 5% in Missouri compared to the year before the coronavirus came to town. And in Illinois, it's a difference of 2% more travelers from 2019. AAA says the average round-trip domestic flight is $810 a person, which is a 4% increase over last year. The most popular destination to fly to is Orlando. Seattle comes second, and New York is third. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The CEO of Southwest Airlines says new changes should result in getting on and off the plane faster. We'll have that story at 6:52. It's 6:45. Who's Hot, Who's Not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting. Had the Cardinals lost yesterday 1-0. It's going to get overlooked most likely, but Andre Palante was excellent. And that's exactly what you want out of your starter. He threw a gem yesterday. 7 scoreless innings, allowed 1 hit. He walked 2 and struck out 3. But a lot of question yesterday about on the Gas House Gang. Who's the starter after Sonny Gray and Matthew Liberatore? Andre Palante must have been watching, or maybe he just had it going yesterday, but he was motivated. 7 one-hit innings. The problem, he was facing Paul Skeens, one of the best pitchers in baseball. The Cardinals knocked him out after 5 innings of work, but he went 5 scoreless, and the Cardinals couldn't score on their bullpen either. They got shut out for the second consecutive night, 1-0 at Pittsburgh. Here's Palante on FanDuel Sports Network Midwest.
Yeah, definitely stuff was a lot better today. Mixing curveballs well, fastball was sharp, got some inside there, got a big strike on Reynolds on it. Felt good. Defense was phenomenal today. I mean, Vic making good plays, Gorman make range into his left and getting that ball, that ground ball. Defense was great today.
As Ollie Marmol said, he loved the game and hated it at the same time. The Cardinals play today at 11:35. I'll have the pregame at 10:40. Sonny Gray starts against the Pirates today. Mitch Keller for Pittsburgh. The Cardinals are 4 games out in the National League Central. The Blues made 2 moves yesterday, including trading Zach Bolduc, their forward, to the Montreal Canadiens for defenseman Logan Mailloux. Both players 22 years old. Bolduc's good. He's a scorer, no doubt about it, but Mailloux can move the puck. He can work on the power play and has a lot of potential, according to GM Doug Armstrong.
I think that if you use the adage, you give a NHL defenseman 200 games. He's a little shy of that by about 190. So we're going to bring him in and we're going to grow with him. But we think that he has the opportunity to be a top 4D. Obviously, during the year, we always go and rate prospects and where we have them, and he's always been in an area where we felt he's a top 4 talented NHL defenseman.
They've been watching him for a long time. The Blues are still looking for a second-line center. They acquired a fourth-line center yesterday as Radek Faksa went back to Dallas. The Blues got Nick Bjugstad, 2-year deal out of Utah. I'm Tom Ackerman, St. Louis Composting. Great company, great service. 9 locations in the St. Louis area, stlcompost.com. And when you look that up, you're going to find delivery of compost soil and mulch just a click away. Hey, beat the heat by adding mulch to your yard, your soil. It is a great way to do it. They have potting soil as well now, just $7 a bag. stlcompost.com is where you get started. 9 locations to pick up, or you can have the items delivered to your home. Just order online by going to stlcompost.com. Packaged food manufacturers and retail companies take every precaution to make sure the food we buy at the store and bring home to feed our families is safe for consumption. They have rigorous standards, and STL Compost works with national grocery retailers and food and beverage manufacturers to divert waste from landfills and turn food waste into compost. They do a great thing for the environment and for St. Louis. STLcompost.com.
Join us for the next Business of Family Business on KMOX. I'm Debbie Monterrey, along with my co-host Kevin Short of Clayton Capital Partners, and we're going to be talking about plumbing.
We are, but the really interesting, fun part of plumbing, not the nasty side of plumbing. So you will learn a lot about the business.
It is Matt LaMartina of Tony LaMartina Plumbing. It is going to be a fascinating conversation, so we hope you will join us Saturday at 5 here on KMOX for the Business of Family Business.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
Now the news at 1, the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 6:50. It's time for us to get you a check of the roadways and the weather. So let's start with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, some slow traffic out there in different spots. This traffic reports the service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. Will start out west Wentzville Way, southbound 61, north of Wentzville Parkway down to 64 is kind of slow, but once you get on 64, you're good to go all the way into the Interbelt. Eastbound Highway 70, seeing a busier stretch approaching Lake St. Louis. The Sunshine's part of the problem in toward Highway K. And TR Hughes to 79, just busier through there. It's busier on North 270 as well. North of Gravois up through Marshall Road, Big Bend area, and then Doherty Ferry up to Manchester. The ramp from North 55 to North 270 is bogged down. And then from about Weber up through Virginia is busy. And then on the Illinois side, westbound across the Poplar looks good, but we do have this backup stop-and-go pockets, I guess we'll call it, on eastbound 64 onto eastbound 5570 through 203. Those two left lanes again closed for emergency repair work, and they hope to have it wrapped up by this evening at 5. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we're more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. We are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. SandbergPhoenix.com. The choice of lawyers an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
Well, when have you ever known 4th of July weekend to be nice and cool? It is hot, hot in St. Louis. Mostly sunny today, high 90. Clear low 71 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny and hot, high 92. For Friday, July 4th, real feels peaking over 100. Plenty of sunshine, hot and humid, high 96. 97 for Saturday, 91 for Sunday with a chance of a thunderstorm. Pretty nice morning right now. It's clear, sunny, 69 degrees downtown at the Arch.
6:52 and the news continues. If you fly St. Louis's hub airline Southwest, be prepared for some big changes to the traditional experience. Southwest CEO is now speaking out about those changes, why they are happening, and if there are more coming. We get more from KMOX's Michael Calhoun.
This is the wholesale transformation of the company.
That is Southwest Airlines CEO Bob Jordan in a long interview with the Y'all-itics podcast by WFAA Channel 8 in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's the city where Southwest is headquartered. Jordan says these big changes we've heard all about, like ending open seating and starting to charge for checked bags,
At Southwest Airlines, bags fly free,
are just picking up on the customer's preferences.
No matter what you think, what we think, what I think sitting here, you've got to follow the customer. And it's really clear that our customers want changes. They want other options in the cabin. They want assigned seating. I mean, 80% of our customers told us they want assigned seating. 85% of customers that don't fly us want assigned seating. And the number one reason people leave us or won't book us is because of open seating.
And he says the changes should actually make some of that boring airport stuff move faster.
We did a lot of physical simulations of different types of boarding, and we did millions of computer-based simulations of boarding. And everything tells us that the new boarding and assigned seating will be equal to or faster than the current product.
But the biggest controversy hasn't been about seats, it's been about bags.
If you want bags fly free, to continue to fly free, all you have to do is have the credit card in your wallet.
Of course, the airline had to change a lot of systems to account for an upsell, which used to be included.
It changed every digital channel. There was so much work.
But Jordan doesn't think any of it changes the essence of the airline.
The heart of Southwest Airlines wasn't plastic boarding cards or even open seating. The heart of Southwest Airlines is our service that we provide and how we treat the customer.
And he says, brace for more.
We won't stop here. So we're going to keep changing.
Like what?
There are folks that want a lounge, or they want a business class offering, or they want an airline that can take them on a long haul destination to Europe. And we can't serve those. And so even if you love us, we force you to another airline. We force you to split your wallet. We force you to hold somebody else's co-brand card. And we're just not going to do that.
At St. Louis Lambert, so many business travelers use Southwest and have asked the airport for that kind of amenity. But Southwest has never done its own lounges, so Lambert turned to a third-party operator, Wingtips.
If it's clear that our customers in key cities demand a lounge, as an example, rather than say we would never do that, we'll take a look at it.
On the other item, overseas flights, Jordan tells WFAA.
Step one, you pursue partnerships.
You have
That's
two of
the
those.
easier route. Yeah, we've announced Iceland Air China, and then we have others in the hopper that we're not quite ready to announce today.
Other international partners?
Yeah. We're working on other partners.
So could you be part of an alliance like we see?
I think that's tougher because of the restriction of the alliance, but you'll see us continue to add partners.
But he says if Southwest wanted to fly those flights itself, it would take about 5 years to buy the new aircraft. Southwest is now opening up to allow its flights to be listed and sold on Google Flights and Expedia sites. All of these changes, especially on Bags Fly Free. What would legendary Southwest founder Herb Kelleher say?
I remember, Herb would say, we'll never do that. And I don't think he meant it. I think he did it as a way to get people to quit thinking about something. But I remember when I got here, he had said, we will never have a loyalty program. We will never change our boarding. We will have a long list of things.
But Jordan tells WFAA Kelleher ultimately kept up with the times.
I mean, Herb always said, you change or you die.
For Total Information AM, Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
Some Cardinals birthdays. Joe McGrain. Boy, he was a good one. He's 61. So Taguchi is 56. He was a world champion. Happy birthday to Margot Robbie. The actress is 35 today. And this guy, one of my favorites right here.
This is so rude.
Just the plain chocolate.
You're like a sample abuser. That's what you are. You're abusing your sampling privileges. One sample, two samples the most.
Larry David is 78 today.
The birthday shout out sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back, family owned and top rated, RennerDoorSTL.com, Kanala Rubenfeld, Pete Maniscalco, and Julie Tristan. Happy birthday.
This is the best birthday ever.
Tom Ackerman for Busey Bank and Building Community. We are proud to recognize Doorways as a building community partner. Doorways helps those who are invisible and ignored by society, people navigating poverty, homelessness, and serious illnesses like HIV. While HIV has become treatable, the number of cases continues to rise in the disenfranchised community. Building community means nobody should be invisible. Learn more about Doorways at doorwayshousing.org.
This is Pat Buring, Executive Vice President of Busey Bank. I'm so proud to recognize Doorways, the only agency in the region dedicated to providing housing to individuals living with HIV and their family members. Doorways sees to it that clients receive on-site services to manage their lives, opening doorways to independence and opportunity. That's what building community is all about. Join Busey. Get involved as we continue building the communities we call home.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Well, eastbound Highway 70 has some slow traffic approaching Lake St. Louis Boulevard into Highway K in downtown. Eastbound 64 is jammed onto 5570 at Exchange due to road work. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Is the CBS News World News Roundup, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Lawmakers on the House could vote as early as today on President Trump's big, beautiful bill that advanced in the Senate on a single tie-breaking vote by Vice President Vance. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns says it faces Republican opposition in Congress as well.
Some Republican House members were quick to rain on the Senate's parade.
What the Senate did to our bill was unconscionable. I'll vote against it here, and I'll vote against it on the floor till we get it right.
House Speaker Mike Johnson acknowledged the tough road ahead after the Senate's changes, including steeper cuts to Medicaid.
I encouraged them to amend it as lightly as possible. They went a little further than many of us would have preferred.
President Trump wants the bill on his desk by Friday. Jurors at Sean Combs' sex trafficking trial will get back to deliberating this morning, despite reaching a partial verdict. Former federal prosecutor Lori Levinson.
They have found a verdict on 4 of the 5 counts, but they have not yet reached a verdict on the biggest count, and that's a racketeering charge. The court is sending them back for more deliberations, even though the jury says they can't reach a verdict.
The racketeering charge carries the possibility of life in prison. Brian Kohberger will be in court today to plead guilty to murdering 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022. In exchange, he could be spared the death penalty. CBS's Carter Evans is in Boise.
He'll spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole or appeal. Now, Kohberger is accused of fatally stabbing 4 students in Moscow, Idaho in November of 2022. Their families are divided on how they view this plea deal.
Some plan to be in court today to address Kohberger at the hearing. Illegal crossings along the southern border have dipped to a record low.
Border Patrol agents caught 6,000 migrants entering the country illegally in June, the lowest monthly total ever reported by Customs and Border Protection. During the Biden administration, agents were stopping more than 6,000 migrants a day.
Today, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation.
Border czar Tom Homan credits President Trump's deployment of thousands of active duty troops to the border and his order allowing the deportation of migrants without hearing their asylum claims, which civil rights advocates are challenging at court. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
California is putting a lid on drink tampering. A new law's just kicked in that requires bars and nightclubs in the state to supply customers with lids and have drug testing kits on hand. San Diego police officer Colin Steinbroner.
It creates that barrier to that easy pill drop or drink pour that puts people at danger, puts people at risk. People are likely to kind of be, a little careless and leave their drinks sitting around. That leaves them open for predators, unfortunately.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed. From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At 7:04, a sunny sky, 70 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman.
I'm Debbie Monterrey, and the news is sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. We have a follow-up to a KMOX exclusive why so many Walgreens pharmacies are leaving customers in the lurch by not being able to get prescriptions to them during regular business hours. KMOX's Maria Kina explains what you need to do if this is happening to you.
KMOX asked people last week on the social media platform Nextdoor if they were having trouble getting prescriptions filled. The response, overwhelming. Messages continue to pour in, and as it turns out, it's not just at a few Walgreens pharmacies.
The sign said pharmacist, not available, pharmacist isn't here, and we can't give out prescriptions or anything because there's no pharmacist on duty. So I go back the next day, and the same sign is in the window, no pharmacist on duty.
My prescriptions are for my heart condition, and I need to take them in order to stay alive. I usually start 2 weeks in advance to get my prescriptions filled. Most of them need to be ordered frequently. There's some delay in doing that. And then when the pharmacy randomly closes, there's more delays.
Tuesday, I contacted Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office and was advised for them to start an investigation, they need complaints. We had the link or the phone number to file a complaint at KMOX.com. Again, the Attorney General's office needs complaints to pursue an investigation. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
The CEO of St. Louis's largest airline is explaining some big changes that are coming to the flying experience. KMOX's Michael Calhoun tells us what he has to say.
Free. At Southwest Airlines, bags fly free.
And that's one of the biggest changes that people are talking about. Southwest changing a cornerstone policy and starting to charge for checked baggage. Although CEO Bob Jordan says if you're smart about it, you still won't pay.
If you want bags fly free, to continue to fly free, all you have to do is have the credit card in your wallet.
And Jordan tells WFAA TV in Dallas-Fort Worth that more than 80% of customers say they actually prefer assigned seating.
If it's clear that our customers in key cities demand a lounge, as an example, rather than say we would never do that, we'll take a look at it.
And when asked by WFAA what legendary Southwest founder Herb Kelleher would say about the changes,
Herb always said, you change or you die.
Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
A record number of Americans will be traveling this week by car.
More than 61 million are road tripping for the 4th of July holiday, the largest volume ever projected by AAA. In Missouri, 8% more cars will be on the road compared to pre-pandemic levels. For Illinois drivers, that's a 10% increase. Your wallet may suffer less as summer gas prices are the lowest they've been since 2021. And is your vehicle road trip ready? AAA says it responded to nearly 700,000 roadside assistant calls nationwide last 4th of July week for things like dead batteries and flat tires. Stuart McMillan, KMOX News.
The Catholic Archdiocese of Mobile, Alabama has welcomed a new Archbishop, St. Louis Auxiliary Bishop Mark Rivatuso, just selected by Pope Leo XIV to fill the vacancy. KMOX religion editor Fred Bottomer reports.
Archbishop-elect Mark Rivatuso was gracious in accepting the job as the new shepherd of the 107,000-member Mobile Archdiocese, which has 83 parishes.
There's been a recent precedent of welcoming Midwesterners in our Universal Church with Pope Leo from Chicago. So I appreciate that you are faithful to that precedent and welcoming this Midwesterner from St. Louis to be part of the Archdiocese.
The new Archbishop is 63 years old, a native of St. Louis, and a graduate of St. Mary's High School, Cardinal Glennon College, and Kenrick Seminary, and was elevated to Auxiliary Bishop here in 2017. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
I'm Sean Malone. After criticizing the Save Lives Now initiative for lack of law enforcement in charge, how does Steve Ellman feel about the lack of law enforcement in charge of the St. Louis Police Board of Commissioners?
Personally, I was a little disappointed.
I've got that story coming up.
That is coming up after traffic and weather. It is 7:08.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
710, Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're doing pretty well out there right now, Tom. We're sort of in a lull before we get into the heart of the rush hour, so things aren't terrible. Northbound 270, just a little busy between Big Bend and Doherty Ferry right now. South 270 coming down to Ladue looks fine. Little volume southbound 61, midway between Wentzville Parkway and 64 where it's the slowest. Eastbound 64 from there looks good all the way through the Interbelt. Eastbound 70, just a little slow for the time being right now from 370 about midway into Cave Springs. Seeing some volume on the secondaries. Eastbound Highway 30 from east of West Watson to 270 looks a little busy right now. Northbound 55 ramping on to North 270. That's a little slow. And downtown, the only jam we have, eastbound 64 backed up onto 5570 at Exchange. Again, those two left lanes closed for emergency repair work. Next update at 720 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, mostly sunny today and a bit hotter this afternoon with a high of 90. AccuWeather real fuel temperatures headed for the mid-90s. A clear night ahead, low 71. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and hot with a high of 92. Real fuels in the upper 90s. Independence Day, Friday, sunshine and hot. The high 96 with real fuels peaking over 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now it is 71 degrees in Florissant, 69 in St. Peter's, sunny and 70 in downtown St. Louis.
It's 712. Our metropolitan region is getting a big boost in population from new Asian and Hispanic residents, but those groups are not necessarily settling in St. Louis City.
The most alarming population numbers continue to come out of St. Louis City.
The city has experienced the largest population decline in our 15-county MSA. And it's coming from the Black population and the white population.
St. Louis University demography professor Ness Sandoval says St. Louis City is second in the country in terms of Black population loss and number one for large cities in terms of overall population loss.
I don't see, at least in the next couple of years, the city being able to turn this around.
He says housing for families will be crucial in attracting Asian and Hispanic populations to St. Louis City. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
Sandoval points out while St. Charles County is the fastest growing county in the region, 77% of the growth is residents 60 and over.
The results are in, and the person who will fill the seat left by Mayor Kara Spencer is Jamie Cox Antwi. She got 55% of the more than 1,900 votes in the special election for the Ward 8 seat on the city's Board of Aldermen. There were 5 people in the running.
Longtime critic of crime in St. Louis City, St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman shares his thoughts on the new board now overseeing the city's police department.
Ellman says he doesn't know any of the members personally, but has heard good things about them. However, he frequently criticized the region's violent crime reduction plan, Save Lives Now, for not having enough members of law enforcement overseeing the operation. How does he feel about the lack of policing experience on the city's Board of Police Commissioners?
Personally, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't somebody. They didn't need to be a former officer, but somebody maybe who's been around police departments.
Ellman says he also wants to see the board make big changes about how they police, but is willing to give them time to do so. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Well, St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy is the first outsider to lead the department in more than 200 years. He could also be the last. St. Louis Post-Dispatch says a new state law returning control of the police department to a governor-appointed board removes a provision allowing outside chief hires. The change wasn't widely discussed during the bill's debate. The new law states that the police chief must be selected from current members of the police force, effectively making it easier for longtime officers to ascend to the top job.
The Madison County Sheriff announces a break in a cold case. On July 20th, 1990, a farmer found a body of a woman near an intersection south of Troy. She remained without a name for 35 years. Now, Sheriff Jeff Connor says she is Wendy Nadine Michael.
It's an exciting day. It really is, that we can give closure to family members. And there's other family members out there that weren't able to be here today. And it's exciting to them. And we wish we could have gave closure sooner.
Sheriff Connor credits the Illinois State Police Crime Lab and a lab in Texas for analyzing DNA evidence. Michael was 30 years old at the time of her death, which remains unsolved. It's 7:15. Cardinals have been involved in a lot of shutouts lately. After taking the first two games against the Cubs at Busch Stadium, they were shut out twice. Then they went to Cleveland and recorded two shutouts over that time in a 3-game sweep. And they've been shut out now twice by the Pirates on the road, 7-0 Monday and 1-0 yesterday, spoiling a great outing by Andre Palante, who went 7 scoreless, allowing just 1 hit. But the Cardinals could not get a run off Paul Skeens in his 5 innings of work, and they couldn't crack the bullpen either in the final 4 innings. And now they find themselves trying to salvage a game in this 3-game series. It'll be Sonny Gray pitching today at 11:35 this morning. He is the player to bank on, brought to you by Community America Credit Union, invested in you. Gray is coming off one of the best starts you will ever see. 9 innings, allowing 1 hit, no walks, 11 strikeouts, and he did it in only 89 pitches. On the Gas House Gang yesterday, manager Ollie Marmol with us.
It was impressive. It really was. What he was able to do that game, I mean, he did everything he wanted with the baseball. He was spinning the heck out of it, was able to land the curveball, get the punch outs with the sweeper. Guys were stiffing out the sweeper. He'd backdoor that sinker to the righties to freeze them. I mean, it was pretty electric to watch, and much needed off day for the pen. So for him to be able to go 9, it was a lot of fun to watch. And that second game, man, to give it up the way we did, you're not supposed to win those games. You're just not. Like, you're down 6-1, you're on the road, and for the guys to just take what the game was giving them and continue to just string together base hits in order to get back in the game. And then Vic goes left on left for 2 runs.
And then the Cardinals won the 3rd game of that series, but now they've lost the first 2 against the Pirates, and they could use Sonny Gray for a lift again. They're kind of running out of gas here. This has been a lot of games for them, a tough schedule, a welcomed day off tomorrow before they embark on that very important series up in Chicago at Wrigley Field, starting on July 4th. 11:35 first pitch this morning, the Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Blues made a trade yesterday, sending Zach Bolduc, their talented young forward, to the Montreal Canadiens. In exchange, they get a talented young defenseman, Logan Mailloux. He's been playing at a very high level, just below the NHL. What does GM Doug Armstrong think about what he's seen on tape?
Well, I think you look at the coaches and managers vote on top prospects in the American Hockey League. You know, they've only started that a few years ago, so it's not a long list. But this year we have 2 of them. We have Mailloux and Dvorsky. So I think his peers think that coaching peers are and managers think that he's a top prospect. Again, he's been an all-star. He's done everything they could ask down there. Played deep into the playoffs.
Mailloux split last season between the Canadiens and their AHL affiliate, the Laval Rocket. 6'3", 213-pound defenseman. He's known a little bit more for his offensive skill, which will play very well on the Blues power play. So they've added some good young defensemen in the last couple of years, Philip Broberg and now Logan Mailloux. But they do have to give up something, and they had a lot of wings, so they send Zach Bolduc to Montreal. They also signed Nick Bjugstad as center from Utah to a 2-year deal. I'm Tom Ackerman on the Voice of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Your home for St. Louis Cardinals baseball, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey, this is Charlie Brennan. Have you noticed loose bricks or missing mortar around your house, on the walls, the patios, the walkways, the porch, or the chimneys? If so, you need to call Morelli Tuck Pointing. 314-645-1387. You might need one of two things: solid tuck pointing, the removal of old mortar with the replacement of new mortar throughout an entire wall or chimney, or maybe just spot tuck pointing. Spot tuck pointing involves the tuck pointing of a particular wall, a chimney, or other masonry surface in an area where it's needed the most. One example might be settlement cracks, usually found above or below windows or doorways. 314-645-1387. Call the company that the Brennans have called when we've needed tuck pointing. Morelli Tuck Pointing, the masonry specialists. Winner of the Angie's List Super Service Award every year since 2005. 314-645-1387, MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Attention, small business owners. Do you need funding for your business? At LendSeek.com, we provide revenue-based working capital programs from $20,000 to $1 million. So whether it's funding for inventory, equipment, expansion, payroll, or other needs, seek no more. All it takes is just one simple application to access over 100 funding products that are powered through our breakthrough AI-enabled lending platform to get you the best options in today's marketplace. If you've been in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of at least $50,000, you can receive the business funding you need when it matters most, regardless of your personal credit score. Funds in your account in just 24 hours with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. There's no obligation and zero out-of-pocket costs. So apply for the business funding you need today at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
It is 7:21. This is Total Information AM. I'm Debbie Monterrey along with Tom Ackerman. Let's get you updated on traffic and weather. And we start with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're seeing a little bit of a backup now, Debbie, on northbound 55, but only Bayless or north of Bayless, really up to River to Paris. So it's not terrible, but it is a little heavier than it's been. Eastbound 30, slow approaching Mauer up the hill to 270. North 270, north of Gravois, midway up to 44 is kind of slow. Doherty Ferry up through Manchester is busy. It's a little slow both ways around those 64 Ladue interchange there on 270. If you're on eastbound 64, a little bit of volume just briefly east of Winghaven. Eastbound 70 looks good out of St. Charles County. There's a slowdown eastbound 64 at the Interbelt. Westbound, those right lanes, Big Bend out to Hanley, look a little busier. Seeing a little bit of a backup on northbound Telegraph, approaching Forder, just a little volume at that point. And, of course, downtown we have this roadwork jam. Eastbound 64 is backed up from about 3rd Street onto 5570 at Exchange. Again, those two left lanes closed until about 5 this evening for that emergency repair work. And so, again, expect a rough start to the afternoon commute downtown headed into Illinois unless they can wrap that up early. And I'm also seeing a little slowdown on westbound 270 midway between 111 and 203. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And that weather, it's just going to be hot, plain and simple. We're looking at heat and humidity coming back. High 90 today, clear low 71 tonight, 92 tomorrow, July 4th, 96 with plenty of sunshine. Currently, we're looking at 71 and sunny downtown at the Arch.
It's 7:22 on Total Information AM. President Trump's tax and domestic policy bill narrowly passed the Senate yesterday with a 51-50 vote, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tiebreaker. The nearly 1,000-page document now heads to the House for consideration.
I think we cannot let this moment pass to have the largest tax savings in American history. The average American family back home is going to save $1,000 a month. When this bill passes, we're going to secure the border. Look, this is President Trump's legacy.
We're literally going to take money from people that don't have it, that's used to pay a doctor or a hospital when they're sick. And that money is going to be transferred to the richest people in our country.
They want tax relief. They want border security. They want to make sure that we're deporting illegal immigrants. They want our military to be strong. And that's what this bill does.
That this is bad policy. This is going to kick 17 million people off of their health care.
Senate Republicans have narrowly passed President Trump's top legislative priority, sending his big tax breaks and spending cuts bill back to the House.
Because of this bill, tens of millions will lose health insurance. Millions of jobs will disappear. People will get sick and die. Kids will go hungry, and the debt will explode to levels we have never seen.
All Democrats voted against it, joined by 3 Republicans, including Rand Paul.
I think they're going to look at it and see that it's much less conservative than it started out to be, and it's going to add much more to the debt. And so I think without question, this is not a fiscally conservative bill. And if you're someone who thinks the debt is a problem, I don't see how you could vote for this.
That made the tally 50-50.
The yeas are 50. The nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
Leaving J.D. Vance to break the tie and end an unusually tense few days on Capitol Hill.
We're fulfilling the mandate we were entrusted with last November and setting our country and the American people up to be safer, stronger, and more prosperous.
Majority Leader John Thune had desperately tried to rally his razor-thin GOP majority to deliver a win.
And now we're here.
A place top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer says they shouldn't be.
Senate Republicans betray the American people and cover the Senate in utter shame.
And in the House,
shame on Senate Republicans.
Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats will do all they can in coming hours and days
to stop this bill from ever becoming law.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Senator Eric Schmidt of Missouri is touting the benefits of a provision added to President Trump's mega bill.
Provisions been included in the big, beautiful bill. This will provide much needed relief for individuals with disabilities who've waited far too long to be on waiting lists to receive services. There's been a backlog, and this will help clear it up to the tune of billions of dollars.
Schmidt says the Democrats' amendment would undermine this effort, which he says will rip out important transparency and accountability provisions.
Both Democrats and Republicans are applauding Tuesday's signing of a bill by Governor Pritzker aimed at lowering the cost of prescription drugs. Republican Illinois State Senator Dale Fowler among those on hand in Peoria for the signing ceremony of the Prescription Drug Affordability Act.
No more will unchecked pharmacy benefit managers operate in the shadows, draining the life from our local pharmacies and driving up the cost of care for patients. No more will family-owned pharmacies, those trusted pillars of care, be squeezed to the point of extinction by system rigged against them.
The bill bans spread pricing, which happens when pharmacy benefit managers, companies that work with health insurers and other payers to manage their prescription drug benefits, take a drug from a pharmacy, then mark it up to make a profit.
Trump Tower Chicago is paying nearly $5 million to settle a lawsuit alleging years of environmental violations. WBBM's Carolina Garibay.
The record $4.8 million settlement is the result of a lawsuit filed in 2018 by Friends of the Chicago River, the Sierra Club, and the Illinois Attorney General. They claimed that Trump Tower was improperly using water from the Chicago River and killing aquatic life. A judge ruled that Trump Tower failed to comply with environmental laws dating back to before it opened in 2008. Most of the settlement funds will go toward creating and restoring habitats for fish and other aquatic life in the Chicago River.
It is 7:27, and the time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
One of the best ways to find out about 3-Day Kitchen and Bath is actually to hear the results for yourself. On the phone with us is Wendy in Darwin. Wendy, you got a brand new bathroom.
I do, and it's beautiful.
Are you loving it?
I am absolutely loving it.
Okay, tell me about your bathroom.
It went from a dark room that felt like an absolute cave when I walked into it to a bright, airy, opened the space up. I mean, I don't know what else. It's just absolutely wonderful.
She's almost speechless. So Darwin, tell me about all the man stuff. How did it work? The quality, the convenience. How did they do?
Excellent. We contacted 3-Day Bath and they got back to us the next day. The communication was excellent. They were on time in all their promises, and it's beautiful. It's a great bathroom.
Would you do it again?
Oh, absolutely.
For more about your new kitchen or bath, visit 3daykitchen.com.
3-Day Kitchen and Bath.
Hey, Jeff, looks like your business is really booming.
even in a tough time for businesses like ours.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, thanks to LendSeek, our business was able to take care of some outstanding bills and taxes and to purchase inventory and expand our product lines.
Wow. You know, my business needs working capital, but only from a reputable company that I can trust and count on. How does LendSeek work?
Fast and easy. Just apply at lendseek.com. Their AI lending platform gave my business access to over 100 funding programs with one simple application. And it costs nothing to apply.
At lendseek.com, you can receive business funding with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. Whatever your funding needs are, seek no more. Our AI lending marketplace has you covered. If you've been in business at least 1 year with annual revenue of at least $250,000, you could get the funding your business needs in as little as 24 hours. There's no obligation, so apply today at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
But do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, listen to this. All I needed was a new starter. Got a great deal on eBay. Did it myself.
Yeah, that's cool. But how about the soft purr of an upgraded exhaust when it fits just right?
For me, it's the little things, like these new windshield wipers from eBay I installed. From small fixes to big upgrades, eBay has all the parts you need at prices you'll love, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At 7:30, sunny, 71 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman.
I'm Debbie Monterrey, and here is Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, you have some more volume on northbound 270 now, folks, from about the Sappington overpass through Gravois, about midway up to 44, and north of Big Bend up to Manchester, a little busier. South 270 still doesn't look bad through Ladue. If you're on eastbound 64, 94 to Research Park, a little slow in the work zone, and just a brief slowdown right at 170. South 170 bogs down now at about Brentwood Boulevard. Seeing a little volume eastbound 70 around 5th Street and east of the Blanchette Bridge in Dare City, so it's a little heavier there. Eastbound Highway 30, slow stuff approaching Mauer to 270. Northbound 55 looks good down south. It is backed up from Bayless most of the way up to River to Pear downtown. Westbound 64 just slow Route 3 to the Poplar. Eastbound 64, though, jamming from 3rd Street on to 5570 at Exchange. Again, that emergency repair work in the left lanes still out there till about 5 this evening. Next update at 7:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny, a bit hotter this afternoon, a high of 90. Tonight, clear, low 71. Tomorrow, sunny and hot, high 92. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg telling us the July 4th forecast will be even hotter and humid with plenty of sunshine, a high of 96. Real field temperatures peaking over 100. Currently, we have sun, 72 degrees downtown at the Arch. Weather sponsored by Storm Pro Solution Roofing and Restoration. They're here when you need them most, providing top roofing and storm damage assessments. Visit stormprosolution.com, St. Louis's #1 roofing and water mitigation specialists.
The city of St. Louis is helping residents in need of tornado repairs find reliable contractors and architects.
The new programs are privately funded and will bring free weatherization and electrical repairs to help residents reconnect to the grid. The city has set up a page on their website where residents can apply. I asked how long the turnaround time is. Here's St. Louis City Mayor Kara Spencer.
People should expect days at this point. And so, there has been a fairly quick turnaround. Once we got the program going, we don't anticipate having any hiccups or issues.
The city is also creating a database of reliable contractors for residents to vet to avoid being victims of a scam. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The family of a man who died during the May 16th tornado is suing the city of St. Louis for failing to sound emergency sirens. 82-year-old Larry Patrick was killed when a tree fell on his home on Margaretta Avenue. KSDK reports that the lawsuit also says the city failed to maintain the tree. The lawsuit asks for a jury trial and seeks damages of at least $25,000. On May 16th, the tornado siren was never activated. Mayor Spencer cited protocol failures, and the city's emergency management agency commissioner was later put on administrative leave.
Mark and Patricia McCloskey could get their guns back. They turned in the firearms after pleading guilty to pointing them at protesters walking past their Central West End home in 2020. After Governor Parson pardoned them, they petitioned to get those guns back, but a judge said no. Why? KMOX legal analyst Brad Young.
The court analyzed in a very academic-like opinion, analyzed the idea that even though the McCloskey's convictions were overturned, that did not technically remove their guilt.
But now an appeals court rules Mark McCloskey's criminal record can be expunged. And if that happens, Young says that could change the calculus on getting the guns back.
The news is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts. michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We'll check your money report next.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
It is 7:35. This is Total Information AM, and it's time for your money report, sponsored by Busey Bank. We get the latest from Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. This report is sponsored by Total Wine and More. Warner Music is preparing for a round of layoffs as it looks to free up money for new initiatives. The number of job cuts wasn't specified in a regulatory filing. A joint venture with Bain Capital is among the new programs at Warner, and a source says the partnership is in talks to acquire the catalog of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. The catalog could bring more than $300 million. Weight Watchers is expanding its collaboration with Novo Nordisk. The deal will give Weight Watchers Clinic members improved access to Novo's prescription weight loss drug Wegovy. And with more people streaming shows at home, movie theaters are taking a hit. Miami-based theater chain CMX Cinemas has just filed for its second bankruptcy. The company has 28 locations in 8 states, mostly in Florida. The filing is the latest of a laundry list of movie theater closures and debt restructurings after the rise of streaming media and COVID-19 lockdowns transformed how people watch movies. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Life doesn't stand still, and neither do your goals. At Busey Bank, we're here to help you move forward with the financial tools, local support, and expert guidance you need to take your next step. Whether you're growing a business, leaving a legacy, or saving for the future, you'll have a team that's ready when you are. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
Are you ready? Creed. By overwhelming demand, the Summer of '99 tour returns. Saturday, August 2nd, Thunder Ridge Nature Arena. With very special guest, Daughtry. And Mammoth. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Creed with Daughtry and Mammoth. The Summer of '99 tour.
All right. It's very easy to get concerned, emotional about what's happening with the stock market and your portfolio and your retirement, especially if you're heading toward retirement. It might be a good idea, says Jeff Sachs of Sachs Financial, to step away from the finfluencers and all of those financial shows.
We used to say that the stock market was based on fundamentals and how good companies were doing. But in today's environment, because we can all buy and sell instantly, it is more of an emotional response. So the tariffs hit, the market dropped, but things stabilized and the market came back up.
So Jeff recommends when you're feeling very emotional about what might be happening on the TV or on the ticker, don't do anything. In fact, why don't you call Sachs Financial, sit down with them, go over your portfolio, talk about what you need right now and what you want in retirement, because at Sachs Financial, they specialize in simplifying your retirement and taking some of that stress and anxiety off your shoulders. SACHS, it's Sachs Financial at retiresafestl.com.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Staffelden Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting in community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue, and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served. Today, the Cards, the Pirates, Ameren Total Access 1040. Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 7:40. Roger Brand, you're in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the heart of the rush hour time, so more slow going out there right now. This traffic reports a service to Siding Express. Northbound 55, not really any worse for wear, just Bayless up to River to Pear, the usual heavy stuff. It's definitely slower, though, on North 270, north of 55, through Gravois. 44, most of the way up to Ladue, pretty busy. South 270, again, there's slow stretches from Page down to Ladue. If you're on southbound 61 getting on to eastbound 70, it looks like there may be an incident at the end of the ramp. That ramp is backing up. But if you're sticking with eastbound 64, you're good to go until you get right around Highway K, east of K in through Research Park. It's slow westbound 64, back up at K. That left lane's closed west of K for road work, the reason for that delay. Southbound 170 backs up Brentwood is 64. Eastbound 64 from 170 into Big Bend is heavy. Westbound 64 Clayton Skinker to Big Bend is a little slow right now as well. Eastbound 70 looks good coming out of St. Charles County. Eastbound 30 between West Watson and 270, it's kind of busy. Northbound 141 approaching 21 up through Romaine Creek to Springdale looks like it's kind of slow. And of course, downtown we have this emergency repair work going on. Eastbound 5570 at Exchange, the two left lanes are closed. Eastbound 5570 is jammed back onto 64 at 3rd Street. And westbound 64 is slow from 3rd Street headed onto the Poplar. Transform your home with the beauty and durability of James Hardy Siding. At Siding Express, we specialize in James Hardy Siding installation. Visit sidingexpress.com today to schedule a free consultation at sidingexpress.com. Next update at 7:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is 7:41. Things are going to start heating up, and we get the details from our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg.
Yeah, temperatures are headed back toward 90 degrees today, Debbie. After 3 days in a row where we stayed in the 80s, lots of sunshine start to finish, and it'll feel like it's in the mid-90s this afternoon. A clear night tonight, though, 71. That heat continues to build a little bit more tomorrow with sunshine, the high 92. The real feels reach the upper 90s. For Friday, Independence Day, sunny and even hotter with a high of 96. Those real feels will peak over 100. That's a theme that continues into Saturday. Sunshine mixes with clouds, our high 97. Sunday, though, a few more clouds around, and with them a thunderstorm will bubble up, the high about 91. 72 now in St. Peter, 73 in Florissant, sunny 73 downtown at the Arch. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 7:42. Televangelist Jimmy Swaggart has died at the age of 90. CBS Evening News co-anchor John Dickerson has more.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
Jimmy Swaggart begged his Lord and his wife for forgiveness in 1988 after he was caught on camera with a prostitute in a New Orleans hotel room.
I gave my heart to Jesus Christ.
Jimmy Swaggart was a key figure in the rise of American evangelicalism at a time in the 60s and 70s when its political and cultural influence was expanding.
Mortality is going to put on immortality.
Swaggart's fire and brimstone sermons had won him millions of viewers who, over the years, gave generously to his ministry, helping him build an empire once estimated to be worth millions. Enough to support a mansion, a private jet, and luxury cars. a far cry from his humble beginnings in the small Louisiana town of Faraday.
On your sons and your daughter.
Jimmy sang and played piano, a talent he shared with his rock star cousin, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Will the ministry continue?
After violating the adultery commandment, Swaggart was defrocked by the Assemblies of God Church for refusing to enter a rehab program. 3 years later, he was caught with another prostitute. But this time he was defiant, telling congregants, "The Lord told me it's flat, none of your business." 2 weeks ago, he suffered a heart attack and never recovered. Jimmy Swaggart was 90 years old.
A small house is getting some big attention in South suburban Chicago.
The Dalton, Illinois Village Board has voted unanimously to buy Pope Leo XIV's childhood home before investors do. Village leaders call the purchase a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they plan to turn the whole block into a historical site. Neighbor Donna Sanga Davis.
I really would like to see the community have more jobs so people can have more income.
Dalton's mayor says the purchase would bring much-needed state and congressional funding to the village. Jennifer Kuiper, CBS News, Chicago.
I want to start this off by saying happy birthday to Ollie Marmol. The Cardinals manager is celebrating his 39th birthday today. He has been the youngest manager in Major League Baseball since he took the reins of the Cardinals at the start of the 2022 season. He's 3-0 on his birthday. Beat Philadelphia in 22, the Yankees in 23, and the Pirates last year. Well, he's got the Pirates today at 11:35, and the Cardinals have been shut out twice already in this series. 7-0 on Monday and 1-0 yesterday, spoiling a one-hitter by Andre Palante. He went 7 scoreless, allowing just 1 hit. Sonny Gray is the starting pitcher today against the Pirates' Mitch Keller. Speaking of birthdays, boy, Ollie, he really, I think, covers a lot of ground and fields a lot of questions from listeners and comments. Take a listen on the Gas House Gang.
Couple of comments from our socials, people watching on YouTube. Bill is doing the same, and he says that he would like to thank you for ruining his 65th birthday yesterday. I don't know. That's just what he said.
I'm so sorry, Bill.
But
Yes.
also, Josh says you're doing a great job, so ignore the critics. There you
So
go.
ignore Bill?
Or John. Yeah, well, it's up to you.
No, I'm sorry. Hopefully your 66 is better.
There are several questions about, I noticed, and you probably did too, Ollie, on the stream, about if you are a playoff team, beyond the 2 starters, Gray and Libby, it seems a little suspect. I'm just sort of summarizing what people said. I think Bernie kind of got into this a little bit about your rotation right now. Just overall, your rotation, beyond those 5, there's not a ton of depth outside of McGreevy. I mean, you're rolling with the 5 healthy starters that you have.
Yeah, and gosh darn, I think we've done a pretty decent job with that rotation. When you look at overall innings pitch and how we've navigated their workload, the bullpen, and keeping guys fresh and healthy, that's all you can do. And I feel like we've done that well, and we'll continue to do that. That's our best shot. Like, my job is to manage what we currently have, and I feel like our pitching staff has done a really nice job of making sure that those guys take the ball every 5th, 6th day and give us their best shot. So we'll continue to do that. I hear you, but this is what we've got, and we're going to maximize every ounce of it.
And last night, Andre Palante with that 1-hit outing in 7 innings, that one's going to fly under the radar because the Cardinals lost the game. But that was one of the better starts of the season. The Cardinals get Sonny Gray coming off the best start of the season, where he struck out 11, walked no one, allowed 1 hit in all 9 innings of a complete game and just 89 pitches against the Cleveland Guardians. Cardinals and Pirates this morning, 11:35. I'll have the pregame at 10:40. Some other sports headlines. St. Louis City SC, which will not be playing at Energizer Park, will sit back and watch the United States men's national team take on Guatemala tonight. 6 o'clock start at Energizer Park in the Gold Cup semifinals. The Blues made a couple of moves yesterday. They traded Zach Bolduc, their 22-year-old forward, to the Montreal Canadiens for talented young 22-year-old defenseman Logan Mayu. And they also signed a fourth-line center, Nick Bjugstad, to a 2-year deal. Radek Faksa has left to go back to Dallas. Ins and Outs, sponsored by Innsbruck Resort, where every day is the weekend. Boy, Innsbruck is going to be booming this weekend with the July 4th holiday. That is the place to be. They claim to have the largest private fireworks display in the state of Missouri on the 4th of July at Innsbruck. Now, I have seen it. I have to tell you, it is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now, they've been doing this for a number of years. Innsbruck has grown. People come in from all over now to vacation at Innsbruck. 7,500 acres, 100 lakes. You've heard me talk about the golf course and the hiking trails and the fishing and the privacy of your home, and a great place to vacation. But it's also a great place to unwind if you want to get into party mode. They have concerts. They have fireworks, as I mentioned. They have a great pool with a bar and restaurant right there. It's Innsbruck. Innsbruck-resort.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew Suntrup. For over 30 years, St. Louis families have trusted Suntrup Ford Westport and Suntrup Ford Kirkwood as a proud, family-owned and operated dealership. We offer more than just great deals. We offer peace of mind. At Suntrup Ford, you'll find a huge selection of inventory to choose from, unmatched customer service, and our exclusive lifetime powertrain protection program. Visit in store or online at suntrupford.com. Save more at Suntrup Ford. Visit suntrupford.com.
2 legendary bands, 1 epic night, Collective Soul, and Live are bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch their summer unity tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater July 17th with special guest Graylin James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Total Information AM. The news continues on 104.1 FM KMOX.
At 7:50, we need to get you updated on traffic and weather. This is Total Information AM. Debbie Monterrey, Tom Ackerman, and Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're just a little slow, Debbie, on northbound 55 north of Bayless up to River to Pear, northbound 270 from about the Sappington Road overpass through Gravois, and then 44 all the way up to Ladou's busy. South 270, Dorset past 364 and Olive to Ladue. That's slow on the way through on that run. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, TR Hughes to 79 is a little crowded. After that, not bad. Southbound 61, we still have it's a backup now. South of Wenswell Parkway on the ramp onto eastbound 70. Looks like there's restrictions getting on eastbound 70. If you're going to stick with 64, you've got slow traffic both ways. Eastbound is approaching 94 to Research Park. Westbound 94 through K is backed up because that left lane's closed west of K for road work. Eastbound 64 after that, and Ignite into Big Bend's heavy. South 170 bogs down at the Parkway. Westbound 64 Clayton Skinker to Hanley is slow. And downtown, westbound 64 from the 70 split to the Poplars heavy. Eastbound 64 3rd Street on the 5570 Exchange have delays due to that emergency repair work. Next update at 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Roger, it's going to be a hot one, and it's going to stay that way for a while. AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg tells us a little hotter this afternoon than yesterday, a high of 90. By tomorrow, we're going to wish it was 90. It's cleared in 71 overnight tonight. Tomorrow, sunny and hot. Real feels in the upper 90s. It's going to be 92. Friday, Independence Day, hot and rather humid. Plenty of sunshine, high of 96. Real feels peaking over 100 on Friday. Same thing on Saturday, 97 for the high. Sunday, we drop to 91 for the high with a chance of a thunderstorm in spots. Currently, we have bright sun in downtown St. Louis. It's 73 degrees.
The news continues at 7:52. St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy, recruited from Delaware, may be the last chief hired from outside the department. Tracy has earned praise from Governor Mike Kehoe as one of the nation's best police leaders, but according to the Post-Dispatch, the new law establishing a state-appointed board to run the city police department removes the ability to ever again hire an outside chief.
St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman has often voiced concerns about the lack of law enforcement experience overseeing the regional violent crime reduction strategy. Now he's weighing in on the St. Louis City Board of Police Commissioners, noting a similar lack of police experience among its members.
You can always argue somebody else would have been better, but I think I think, it's time to let them do their job and ask me how I feel about it a year from now.
Despite the governor saying this board will not be telling the department how to do their jobs, Ellman says he wants to see big changes come to the department to turn around the city's reception of violent crime.
Creve Coeur police and the FBI tracked down and arrested a bank robber. The crime itself happened June 16th when a man walked into the PNC Bank on Olive and showed a note. He left with cash, but he wasn't immediately found. July 1st, Creve Coeur police identified and arrested 46-year-old Matthew Parker of Hanley Hills. 2 others were arrested on unrelated charges.
The jury in the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial is back for another day of deliberations. Yesterday, they notified the judge they'd reached a verdict on all but one charge, deadlocked on the racketeering conspiracy charge against Combs. CBS's Jared Hill with the latest.
Late Tuesday, the jury told the judge they'd reached an agreement on all but the racketeering or RICO charge, the most serious.
Clearly, the jury was not buying whole cloth what the government was selling.
CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi says the racketeering charge relies at least in part on the others. The RICO allegation that he used his businesses and employees as a criminal enterprise to facilitate and cover up alleged illegal activity related to Combs coercing then-girlfriends Cassie Ventura and a Jane Doe into drug-fueled sex marathons with male sex workers.
Remember, the government didn't charge a co-conspirator in this case. They alluded to the co-conspirator being his chief of staff, a rotating cast of bodyguards. But they needed to show that there was an agreement, that the organization knew what it was doing.
Combs and his lawyers huddled in court as the judge urged jurors to keep deliberating.
If Combs is found guilty of all charges, he could face life in prison. The sex trafficking charges each carry a mandatory minimum of 15 years behind bars.
It is 7:55, and this is Total Information AM.
Florida's new fluoride ban. I'm Fred Bottomer with 60 Seconds to Better Health. Florida's ban on fluoride in tap water is now in effect. Other states are considering such a ban owing to questions about what fluoride in water is doing to children, promoted under Health Secretary RFK Jr. But Dr. Scott Tomar with the American Association of Dentistry's Fluoride Advisory Council denounces the decision.
I think it was a very unfortunate decision by Florida legislature and governor that unfortunately is going to result in more untreated dental disease. Recent reports that we've seen that came out of places like Calgary and Israel and Anchorage, Alaska, that stopping fluoridation led to increases in the rate of new tooth decay. Starting first with youngest children, probably see, a fairly dramatic increase in the prevalence of tooth decay, as well as, billions of dollars that will be spent to treat what would have been an avoidable disease.
With 60 Seconds to Better Health, I'm Fred Bottomer.
Cardinal Hall of Famer Jason Isringhausen and Eddie Scholler from the world-famous Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
Hey, buddy, have you came over and looked at the new Eddie at Fast Eddie's? I finally got a new item. It's been decades.
Decade? More like 40 years to figure out how to put a piece of shrimp on there with your steak.
I've known you for 40 years. You could have said something. Well, who'd have thought the Elwood could even get better? But we did it. We went and we made the Eddie. It's a foot-long serving turf.
Not that I needed another reason to bring the whole gang down there. I'm still going to order those big Elwoods, the succulent peel-and-eat shrimp, the hot chick on a stick, and that famous Fast Eddie burger. And I'm always going to get one of those ice-cold frosty ones and listen to that live music on that patio every afternoon and evening.
Well, I just love adding another great item for everybody to come over and enjoy. When you come on over the beautiful Clark Bridge and look at the picturesque Mississippi River.
Picturesque. That's very eloquent.
Thank you very much.
Well, like Mr. Shannon says, if you're 21 and in the mood, come on over to picturesque Alton, Illinois, and see the very eloquent Eddie at Fast Eddie's Bonaire.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Community America is stepping up in St. Louis and showing what excellence in banking looks like. Or in other words, they're winning. Opening more branches? Win. Competitive loan rates? Win. Wealth management? Win. Which now makes sense why they asked me, Cardinal shortstop Mason Wynn, to tell you. That's win with 2 N's, not one. It's time to bank like the Mason winner you are. It's time your financial partner was invested in you. Member owned, open to all. Community America Credit Union, invested in you.
Roger Brand, you're in the Overhead Door Company's St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we still have this crash on the ramp from southbound 61 getting on to eastbound 70. It's not a solid jam. The ramp's backed up, but southbound 61 does bog down at Wentzville Parkway to that point. Once you get on eastbound 70, you've got a stall now in the, I think it's the right lane at TR Hughes, so traffic is heavy east of K into that situation. If you're sticking with eastbound 64, it's slow 94 to Research Park. It's slow from McKnight to Big Bend. South 170 bogs down at Brentwood. Just a little busy at the city limits westbound 64. That's not bad. Southbound 270 approaching Page down through Olive, and then again around Ladue, a little busy. North 270 north of Gravois through Manchester and Clayton up to Ladue. That's still kind of busy. Northbound 55 Bayless up to River de Pears, slow. Westbound 64 heavy from the 70 split to the Poplar, and eastbound 64 jam from 3rd Street on to 5570. From the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards, including Overall Excellence. KMOX AM St. Louis, KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. Jurors at Sean Combs' sex trafficking trial in New York are resuming deliberations after telling the judge they could only reach a partial verdict, but he sent them back to keep trying on the final and most serious count of racketeering. CBS News legal contributor Caroline Polisi.
What the government is alleging here is that Sean Combs was sort of the head of this enterprise, the object of which was to promote his reputation, promote his brands, fulfill his sexual desires, and cover up crimes related to achieving that goal, essentially.
The charge carries the possibility of life in prison. Lawmakers in the House could vote today on President Trump's big spending bill that squeaked by in the Senate after some major alterations. Republicans on the House Rules Committee debated before voting to advance the measure. North Carolina's Virginia Fox.
This bill gets Americans back to winning again.
South Carolina's Ralph Norman has concerns, though, about Medicaid cuts and budget busting.
I'm against this because what the Senate did. I'll vote against it here, and I'll vote against it on the floor until we get it right.
President Trump wants the measure on his desk by Friday. Many lawmakers are still trying to get to Washington to vote. Bad weather's gotten in the way. More than 1,500 flights were canceled yesterday. Hundreds more have been canceled today. Correspondent Nikki Batiste is at New York's LaGuardia Airport.
A mix of thunder and heavy rain pounded the East Coast, flooding roadways up and down the I-95 corridor. In Fairfax County, Virginia, firefighters believe lightning caused a small fire.
It definitely scared me. Maybe 10 to 15 minutes later, started to smell smoke and then heard a siren and got out of my house.
An American tourist has vanished in a tropical paradise. CBS's Jim Krasula has the details.
51-year-old Brian Terrence was last seen leaving a vacation rental in the Turks and Caicos. The Monroe, New York man was apparently headed out for an early morning walk. The Royal Turks and Caicos Islands police force and a private investigator are searching for the missing man.
It's starting to get messy as a strike by municipal workers in Philadelphia enters its second day. CBS's Ross DiMattei is in Center City.
Trash piling up all over the city. Reports of illegal dumping throughout the city already taking effect just one day into this strike. We're also hearing reports of rodent activity picking up, so rats and mice.
Sanitation, police dispatch, water department, and airport workers walked off their jobs in a contract dispute over wages. Dow futures are down 12. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. We offer auto, home, and commercial auto insurance, plus a variety of business insurance options. Visit progressive.com today.
At 8:03, we have sunny skies, 73 degrees downtown at the Arch. Today is Wednesday, July 2nd. The news sponsored by the St. Louis Aquarium at Union Station. I'm Megan Lynch. We have a follow-up to a KMOX exclusive, why so many Walgreens pharmacies are leaving customers in a lurch by not being able to get prescriptions during regular business hours. KMOX's Maria Kina explains what you need to do if this is happening to you.
KMOX asked people last week on the social media platform Nextdoor if they were having trouble getting prescriptions filled. The response? Overwhelming. Messages continue to pour in, and as it turns out, it's not just at a few Walgreens pharmacies.
The sign said pharmacist, not available, pharmacist isn't here, and we can't give out prescriptions or anything because there's no pharmacist on duty. So I go back the next day, and the same sign is in the window, no pharmacist on duty.
My prescriptions are for my heart condition, and I need to take them in order to stay alive. I usually start 2 weeks in advance to get my prescriptions filled. Most of them need to be ordered frequently. There's some delay in doing that. And then when the pharmacy randomly closes, there's more delays.
Tuesday, I contacted Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey's office and was advised for them to start an investigation, they need complaints. We had the link or the phone number to file a complaint at KMOX.com. Again, the Attorney General's office needs complaints to pursue an investigation. Maria Kina, KMOX News.
St. Louis City Police Chief Robert Tracy, the first outsider to lead the department in over 200 years, could also be the last. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch says the new state law returning control of the police department to a governor-appointed board removes a provision allowing outside chief hires. The change was not widely discussed during the bill's debate. The new law states that the chief must be selected from current members of the force, effectively making it easier for longtime officers to ascend to the top job. Longtime critic of rising crime in St. Louis City, St. Charles County Executive Steve Ellman shares his thoughts on the new board now overseeing the city's police department.
Ellman says he doesn't know any of the members personally, but has heard good things about them. However, he frequently criticized the region's violent crime reduction plan, Save Lives Now, for not having enough members of law enforcement overseeing the operation. How does he feel about the lack of policing experience on the city's Board of Police Commissioners?
Personally, I was a little disappointed that there wasn't somebody. They didn't need to be a former officer, but somebody maybe who's been around police departments.
Ellman says he also wants to see the board make big changes about how they police, but is willing to give them time to do so. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
The results are in, and the person who will fill Mayor Kara Spencer's former Ward 8 seat on the Board of Aldermen is Jamie Cox-Antwi. She got 55% of the more than 1,900 votes in the special election. There were 5 people running for that seat. Madison County Sheriff Jeff Connor says after 35 years, investigators can now share an ID on a woman's body that was found decomposing near Troy on July 20th of 1990. The woman is Wendy Nadine Michael. She was 30.
We just want to focus on Wendy. Right now, our goal is to focus on Wendy, to highlight Wendy now that we know who she is. And we really want to get this information out to the public.
He's asking anyone with information on Wendy Nadine Michael's death to step forward. Mark and Patricia McCloskey could get their guns back. They turned in the firearms after pleading guilty to pointing them at protesters outside their Central West End home in 2020. After Governor Parson pardoned them, they petitioned to get the guns back. A judge said no. How come? KMOX legal analyst Brad Young.
The court analyzed in a very academic-like opinion, analyzed the idea that even though the McCloskey's convictions were overturned, that did not technically remove their guilt.
But now an appeals court rules Mark McCloskey's criminal record can be expunged. If that happens, Young says that could change the calculus on getting the guns back. The CEO of St. Louis's largest airline explaining some big changes coming to the flying experience. KMOX's Michael Calhoun tells us what he's got to say.
At Southwest Airlines, bags fly free.
And that's one of the biggest changes that people are talking about. Southwest changing a cornerstone policy and starting to charge for checked baggage. Although CEO Bob Jordan says if you're smart about it, you still won't pay.
If you want bags fly free, to continue to fly free, all you have to do is have the credit card in your wallet.
And Jordan tells WFAA TV in Dallas-Fort Worth that more than 80% of customers say they actually prefer assigned seating.
If Our customers, if it's clear that our customers in key cities demand a lounge, as an example, rather than say we would never do that, we'll take a look at it.
And when asked by WFAA what legendary Southwest founder Herb Kelleher would say about the changes,
I mean, Herb always said, you change or you die.
Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
And we'll go in depth on this story this morning at 8:24. Check of traffic and weather coming up in 2 minutes. It's 8:08.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. You know, when you go to the Audiology Center, you'll see a doctor of audiology. And with us right now, Dr. Colleen Bosler. Dr. Bosler, what are some of the signs of hearing loss?
Well, it's a number of things. Sometimes loved ones notice a person asking others to repeat themselves, or the television is too loud. What people tend to notice first with hearing loss is the loss of clarity. They can hear people talking, but they cannot always understand what's being said. That's because the hearing loss can cause you to miss certain consonant sounds, and those consonant sounds give us the detail to the word. A hearing aid can help bring back those details and give you a sense of clarity that you're missing.
Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center with 3 locations in the greater St. Louis area. Call for an appointment, 636-441-7470. Online, theaudiologycenterstl.com.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's 8:10. Time to head back to the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center and check in with Roger Brand. Roger, how's it looking out there?
Well, basically just slow traffic for most folks, Megan. It looks like they cleared the crash, the ramp from southbound 61 on eastbound 70. The ramp's still slow, but earlier was backed up to Winsfield Parkway. Also, still looks a little busy coming through TR Hughes on eastbound 70. We did have a stall in a traffic lane. They're working to clear there just a couple of minutes ago. South 270 pretty much back on the move, just a little busy passing 364. Northbound 270, Big Bend up to Ladue. There's still some slow stretches along that run. Northbound 55, barely slow. Weber up to River to Pear, that's not bad. Better downtown as well. Westbound 64 does heavy Route 3 to the Poplar, but eastbound 64 is on the brakes from 3rd Street on to 5570 up through most of the way to 203. Again, those 2 left lanes closed for emergency repair work through about 5 this evening. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Plenty of sunshine today and becoming a little bit hotter this afternoon with a high of 90. The AccuWeather real fuel temperature will head for the mid-90s. It'll be clear and warm tonight, though 71. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high of 92. The real fuel's in the upper 90s. Friday, Independence Day, mostly sunny and hot. The high 96. Real fuels will head over 100. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now we have sunny skies, 74 degrees in Florissant, it's 73 in St. Peters, and 73 degrees downtown at the Arch. You're listening to Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Donald Trump's multi-trillion-dollar tax bill running into Republican resistance in the U.S. House. Joining me this morning, Bloomberg congressional reporter Cam Kettles to talk about it. Cam, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about what's in the bill that just passed the Senate, because I understand it is different than what the House passed in May.
Yeah, so there are quite a few differences that have made the bill more appealing to certain senators. Senator Murkowski was the main holdout from the Senate. And, some of the changes, there are greater cuts to the Medicaid program that have been really contentious throughout this debate. Obviously, there are certain changes. There was a deal cut with Republicans in the House that care about higher state and local income tax. That has been brought down, but they've gotten those Republicans on board. But really, the bill is generally more expensive than the House version. The Joint Committee on Taxation predicts it will cost $3.4 trillion. And that, too, has been a major sticking point for House Republicans that say they oppose debt increases and really want more time to consider how to cut costs in this bill.
Vice President J.D. Vance, of course, had to cast that tie-breaking vote in the Senate to get that through. Could it be that close in the House when it comes to a vote?
It absolutely could be that close in the House. When the House passed their initial version, they were only able to pass it with a one vote tiebreaker. So really, there's no room for error, and both Republicans in the House that opposed it the first time still plan to vote no. So at the moment, the Speaker of the House can't lose any more votes than they already have. And there are several Republicans that say the current version costs too much. There are too many cuts to Medicaid, and they're really urging the House to stay longer and really consider changes. Obviously, that becomes very difficult because President Trump has really been forceful about passing this by July 4th. That only really gives the House 2 days to consider its options. So today, and especially late today, we'll really see if a vote is possible.
Who seems to be mounting the most opposition to this at this point among Republicans?
Well, so originally it was those Republicans that were very concerned about the state and local tax deductions. But at the moment, there are really two almost competing interests that exist in the House that are angry about this bill. You have the House Freedom Caucus and particularly conservative Republicans that say this bill just costs too much and are concerned about some of the really conservative agenda items in this bill that were taken out through procedural processes to pass using the special process that they're using. So they're just angry that the bill just takes out those items and they want to add them in as amendments. They want to challenge some of the procedural rulings. And those members are going to be sort of a key group to keep on board throughout the rest of today. There is a secondary group of more moderate Republicans that had been very vocally had been objecting to the Medicaid cuts. And those Republicans really felt in the same way that Senator Murkowski felt that these cuts, and particularly changes to the provider tax that is used for hospitals that provide Medicaid services to make money, that those services were going to be cut too drastically. And the Senate version has a new fund for rural hospitals that addresses some of those concerns, but really most of what they're angry about, which is that Medicaid just has less funding, is still an open question, and is certainly more severe cuts in the Senate than in the House. And obviously, the trouble for House leadership right now is that those interests are almost competing, that the group that is angry about deficit increases really opposes more spending on Medicaid. And so it's really a question of math of who is needed to keep a majority and to ultimately have a final passage. And I think, at this moment, this is sort of key hours for leadership to be having those discussions about, who's needed. And as I said, they can't lose any more than the two Republicans that are already hard nosed. And so the math becomes very difficult very quickly.
Let's talk about that math. And you're hearing Bloomberg congressional reporter Cam Kettles with us on KMOX this morning. I feel like I'm hearing different people say different things about this. Some are saying in the long run, this is going to pan out okay. Others are saying, no, this is a disaster when it comes to this country's deficits. Has there been really any meaningful and in-depth analysis in the very short time we've had since the Senate passed its version?
Well, so the Senate passed its version midday yesterday after more than 24 hours of debate. And, the Joint Committee on Taxation predicts that in its current form, the bill will cost $3.4 trillion. There has been an ongoing sort of dragged out debate about how to score the bill, how to consider the costs, and whether to compare it to what the spending levels already are or what they were sort of before 2017. But there are members, especially of the House Freedom Caucus, those ultra conservatives, that really are just pushing to cut costs really wherever is possible. That there's not necessarily a specific cost that they are angry about, and so really it's just sort of as much as they can get right now. And the question is how far that line is they're willing to take that with this impending deadline imposed very publicly by the president.
I know the last word I heard was that a vote could be expected today. Would you expect that to happen?
So right now, the House is planning procedural vote for this morning, and it is an open question of what happens after that procedural vote. We will know through that procedural vote sort of what the tone is among those that had expressed skepticism, expressed willing to be an oppositional voice. And, there are, other than the fact that there are some that are still angry, there are also concerns that weather might impact this. There have been thunderstorms yesterday. Hundreds of flights were canceled. There are some representatives that have been posting on X that they have chosen to drive from several states away to get here. And so, the procedural votes this morning almost function as a check to see who's in town. So there are multiple different concerns about that could affect the timeline of this. The goal, obviously, from House Republicans is to pass this today. There are several sort of delay tactics that are available to Democrats, are available to House leadership on the Democratic side. And it's still an open question of if they're willing to use those. They have been sort of reluctant to share specifics about how they're planning to address this. They have said several times that they're going to fight this at every turn, but really we'll know through the votes this morning, and as they get into actual debate on the bill, sort of who is expressing skepticism and who is really willing to be the opposition to this bill.
That is Bloomberg congressional reporter Cam Kettles joining us this morning. Cam, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we are going to hear from Michael Calhoun. There's some changes for flyers at Southwest Airlines. The CEO is addressing some of those. First, though, we need to check on your path to work if you're driving. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
And it looks good out there right now, Megan. If you're hitting the highways, it's been improving for a while. This traffic reports the service of Saks Financial. Northbound 270, primarily approaching Manchester, up to Ladue is slow. South 270 is a little busy at Ladue, not that big a deal. North 55, that's cleared out. Eastbound 64 looks good out west. It's just a little slow. 170 through Hanley. They cleared that stall. Eastbound 70 at TR Hughes. Things are back on the go there. Westbound 64 is cleared out at the Poplar. Eastbound 64 still has this jam, though, approaching 3rd Street onto 5570 and Exchange. Again, emergency repair work in those left lanes ongoing today through about 5 p.m. unless they can wrap it up early. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. Mostly sunny, a bit hotter this afternoon, a high of 90. Right now we have sunny skies, 73 degrees downtown at the Arch.
Hi, this is Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial. Let's tune out the noise a little bit and focus on a retirement plan. If you don't have one or don't know how to get started, find us on our website at saxfinancial.com or retiresafestl.com.
Hi, it's Margaret from Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. I've worked with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano for more than 30 years. Their guidance and assistance with my estate planning and legal documents gives me the peace of mind that I have the retirement I've worked for and always dreamed of. And I'm playing it fully with my grandchildren, volunteering, and traveling worldwide. I play confidently knowing my estate is secured in any event. You can get your estate secured with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano too. Visit their website, yourestateMatters.com, and download their free webinar on how to get started. Then make a free appointment. Your estate matters because you matter. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com. The choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be made solely on advertising.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify.
Viking, dedicated to creating travel experiences for the thinking person, with programs designed for cultural enrichment on board and on shore. Discover more at Viking.com. That's Viking.com. Viking.com.
You're listening to Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. Are you hopping on a plane anytime soon? If you fly St. Louis's hub airline Southwest, you need to be prepared for some big changes to their traditional experience. Southwest CEO now speaking out about those changes, why they're happening, and if more are coming. KMOX's Michael Calhoun goes in depth.
This is a wholesale transformation of the company.
That is Southwest Airlines CEO Bob Jordan in a long interview with the Y'all-itics podcast by WFAA Channel 8 in Dallas-Fort Worth. That's the city where Southwest is headquartered. Jordan says these big changes we've heard all about, like ending open seating and starting to charge for checked bags,
At Southwest Airlines, bags fly free.
are just picking up on the customer's preferences.
No matter what you think, what we think, what I think sitting here, you've got to follow the customer. And it's really clear that our customers want changes. They want other options in the cabin. They want assigned seating. I mean, 80% of our customers told us they want assigned seating. 85% of customers that don't fly us want assigned seating. And the number one reason people leave us or won't book us is because of open seating.
And he says the changes should actually make some of that boring airport stuff move faster.
We did a lot of physical simulations of different types of boarding, and we did millions of computer-based simulations of boarding. And everything tells us that the new boarding and assigned seating will be equal to or faster than the current product.
But the biggest controversy hasn't been about seats, it's been about bags.
If you want bags fly free, to continue to fly free, all you have to do is have the credit card in your wallet.
Of course, the airline had to change a lot of systems to account for an upsell, which used to be included.
It changed every digital channel. There was so much work.
But Jordan doesn't think any of it changes the essence of the airline.
The heart of Southwest Airlines wasn't plastic boarding cards or even open seating. The heart of Southwest Airlines is our service that we provide and how we treat the customer.
And he says, brace for more.
We won't stop here. So we're going to keep changing.
Like what?
There are folks that want a lounge, or they want a business class offering, or they want an airline that can take them on a long haul destination to Europe, and we can't serve those. And so even if you love us, we force you to another airline. We force you to split your wallet. We force you to hold somebody else's co-brand card. And we're just not going to do that.
At St. Louis Lambert, so many business travelers use Southwest and have asked the airport for that kind of amenity, but Southwest has never done its own lounges, so Lambert turned to a third-party operator, Wingtips.
If it's clear that our customers in key cities demand a lounge, as an example, rather than say we would never do that, we'll take a look at it.
On the other item, overseas flights, Jordan tells WFAA.
Step one, you pursue partnerships.
You have
That's
two of
the
those.
easier route. Yeah, we've announced Iceland Air China, and then we have others in the hopper that we're not quite ready to announce today.
Other international partners?
Yeah, we're working on other partners.
So could you be part of an alliance like we see?
I think that's tougher because of the restriction of the alliance, but you'll see us continue to add partners.
But he says if Southwest wanted to fly those flights itself, it would take about 5 years to buy the new aircraft. Southwest is now opening up to allow its flights to be listed and sold on Google Flights and Expedia sites. All of these changes, especially on bags fly free, what would legendary Southwest founder Herb Kelleher say?
I remember, Herb would say, we'll never do that. And I don't think he meant it. I think he did it as a way to get people to quit thinking about something. But I remember when I got here, he had said, we will never have a loyalty program. We will never change our boarding. We will have a long list of things.
But Jordan tells WFAA Kelleher ultimately kept up with the times.
I mean, Herb always said, you change or you die.
For Total Information AM, Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
It's 8:27 now. This time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Hey, it's Matt Pauly telling you about i3 Broadband. You've heard me talk about them. They provide the internet in my home. I love them so much. The reliability is great. Let's talk about price for a moment, though. They've got an introductory rate at $19.99 a month for one of their service options. No bundle ever required. You're going to save $10 a month over the cable company. They've got great pricing on all of their different packages, going up to 8 gigs upload and download speed, always mirrored. See if they're available in your neighborhood. Put your address in at i3broadband.com.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
KMOX and 97.1 FM Talk are proud to support the first ever Brendan Donovan Charity Clay Shoot, happening Thursday, August 7th at Straffleton Farms Club in Weldon Spring. Join Cardinal standout Brendan Donovan, teammates, and local celebrities for a day of clay shooting and community, all to benefit Team Red, White, and Blue, and their mission to support veterans' health and wellness. Sponsorships and shooter spots are going fast. Visit teamrwb.org/Donovan now to sign up. Show your support and make a difference for those who have served.
8:30, let's get the latest on the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got a couple of roadwork backups, Megan. This traffic reports a service of Financial and Tax Strategies. One of them, of course, downtown eastbound 64, backed up from Barack Obama Avenue onto 5570. They have the two left lanes closed at Exchange through about 5 this evening, so that's a solid jam. Westbound, though, the other way across the Poplar, it's good. And we also have a roadwork jam southbound 55 approaching the Joachim Creek down through McNutt. Looks like they have the right lane closed, so only the left lane open for roadwork there. Northbound 270, slow from Manchester up to about Ladue. South 270, Olive to Ladue, a little busy. Eastbound 64, slow McKnight in through Hanley, Big Bend, but after that it opens up. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's never too early to start thinking about your retirement journey, and it's never too late either. You just need to know that the steps may look a little different. Listen to Wealth and Wisdom with Gary Goldberg, Saturday mornings at 7 here on KMOX.
Checking the forecast for today, it's going to be a sunny sky, a little warmer than we had yesterday afternoon. We're expecting a high near 90, and the real field temperatures could push into the mid-90s. Currently, we have sunny skies, 73 degrees downtown at the Arch. We're still seeing stories about the lavish wedding of Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos. So let's talk summer wedding season and what the average bride and groom pay to get hitched. KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz, professor in the St. Louis University Chaffetz School of Business, has looked at some of those figures. Jerry, what numbers did you come up with for the average wedding?
Well, before we get to the average one, just so you know, you have a basis of comparison. The Venice nuptials of Bezos and Sanchez cost northwards of $20 million and probably set a high water mark, and I'm pun intended, for over-the-top weddings. But for regular people like us, it's important to know the prices of getting married is going up. The Knot is a wedding planning service and website, and they do an annual survey. The one they did they just reported, which was for the year 2024, They surveyed 17,000 couples to find out how much things cost. Overall, the cost for a wedding in the U.S. is $33,000. They didn't do a St. Louis specific rate, but they did do a Missouri cost, which was $25,040, or 25% cheaper than the U.S. average. And even for the Midwest cost is $29,000, so our $25,000 is a really good deal. By the way, that's the cost for the wedding itself. It doesn't include the honeymoon or the wedding ring, and each of those is about $5,200. Now, for that $33,000 cost, what that comes down to is $284 on average for an average wedding of 118 guests. Now, if you're thinking the Missouri number, $25,040, that's a $212 a head cost. So give you an idea what to think about. If you're going to do a destination wedding, the average for those instead of $33,000 was $39,000. If you've got an international destination, think $41,000. 25 costs are a lot more up in the air. About 90% of the wedding dresses sold in the USA are made in China. The top wedding dress seller is a chain called David's Bridal, and they say the typical cost for someone buying from them is $700 to $800. They've been shifting their sourcing and manufacturing away from China to minimize tariff impacts, but everyone is expecting some volatility in the prices. Some other wedding elements that are most often imported beyond dresses are flowers, and the typical wedding spends $2,700 on that. Decor, $1,900 cost. Champagne and booze, $2,800, and those costs are from the knot. So, if you've already signed a contract in 2024, your prices for a wedding this year are probably locked in, and you may be safe from added surcharges. On the other hand, people who have signed contracts in 2025, particularly since President Trump started mentioning tariffs, may find clauses that let the vendor add a tariff cost to be paid by the couple. For those of you planning a wedding, best of luck and best of deals.
That is KMOX business analyst Jerome Katz joining us this morning on KMOX. Thanks, Jerry.
Have a great week.
What does Del Walmsley, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, think you need to succeed in this market?
It's time to buy, and so you better get prepared, you better get educated, you better get your money right. You need to get involved because you're going to need the financing. You're going to need the vendors that we have available to us. You're just going to need the interaction with people. You need to immerse yourself into real estate.
Start your real estate immersion with a free workshop live online at lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
If you're a small business owner looking to improve or expand your business, you're probably faced with choices. Things like more inventory or paying bills or taxes, and tariffs that have you in a cash crunch. Choosing can be hard when you need them all for a clear path to success. At LendSeek, we don't think you should have to choose between the things you need to grow and improve your business. At lendseek.com, you'll find our exclusive AI-based lending marketplace where you can access up to $1 million in business funding with minimal paperwork, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how the funds are put to work. If you've been in business for at least 2 years with annual revenue of at least $500,000, our online AI-enabled platform can connect your business to over 100 funders with funding in as fast as 24 hours. Whether you own a local retail shop, contracting company, online business, or professional services, we've got you covered. Apply today with no cost and no obligations at lendseek.com, LENDSEEK.com.
8:36, time for your money report, sponsored by Eamon Gantner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Kimberly Adams.
Good morning. This report is sponsored by Total Wine and More. Paramount Global has reached a settlement with President Trump over a lawsuit alleging election interference by CBS News when it showed two different versions of a 60 Minutes interview with then Vice President Kamala Harris in October. Paramount agreed to pay $16 million. The remaining amount of the settlement will go to a future presidential library, but no money will be paid directly to Trump. The deal is seen as critical for Paramount to gain approval from federal regulators for its pending merger with Skydance Media. The personal information of 2.5 past and present Columbia University students and applicants, including their citizenship status, academic programs, acceptance decision, and more, dating back decades, has been stolen. School officials tell Bloomberg it could take months to determine the scope of the theft. Stocks ended mixed yesterday. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 pulled back from their record highs. The Nasdaq closed down 0.8%, and the S&P fell 0.1%. The Dow rose 400 points. With your Bloomberg Money Report, I'm Kimberly Adams on the Voice of St. Louis, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Well, folks, when you're thinking of great things to do with the out-of-towners over the 4th of July, you know that Ted Drew's should be on that list. Both Ted Drew's locations are open, Chippewa and South Grand. Make Ted Drew's part of your summer tradition and visit often for delicious frozen custard, especially this weekend. Ted Drew's frozen custard, incredibly delicious due to its rich and creamy texture, perfected recipe, premium ingredients, and the passion for creating an unforgettable frozen custard experience. Family owned and operated, consistent, tradition, and perfect anytime. Ted Drew's frozen custard. Try a concrete, one of your favorite flavors, or one of the specialties like the Dutchman, served as a concrete or sundae. Ted's delicious vanilla custard with chocolate, butterscotch, and pecans. Ted Drew's frozen custard, 6726 Chippewa, 4224 South Grand. Unmatched quality, unforgettable taste.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to end your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other IRS actions. Make sure you're getting the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima today for a free confidential consultation.
Call 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933. 800-473-9933.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. So tell them today, I love you. Get screened. It could help save their life. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Sunny skies, 77 degrees at 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. The family of a man who died during the May 16th tornado now suing the city of St. Louis for failing to sound emergency sirens. An analysis finds a critical group of U.S. employers could face a direct cost of more than $82 billion from President Donald Trump's current tariff plans. We've got KMOX legal analyst Brad Young coming up. First, though, we need to check the roads for you with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we got jams due to roadwork out there, Megan. That's the worst of it. This traffic reports a service of Terrace Senior Living of Eureka downtown. Of course, eastbound 64 still backed up east of Barack Obama Avenue, jammed onto 5570 through Exchange, where those left lanes are closed for roadwork. And southbound 55 at Highway Z down through McNutt, we have a lane closed, so only one lane's getting through due to roadwork there, and it's jammed. Northbound 270 still slow north of Manchester, Ladue. South 270 Page down to Ladue still busy. And eastbound 64 east of McKnight through to about Big Bend slow. Westbound 70 seeing some slow traffic from the Rock Road out to 270 as well. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Check out the Terrace in Eureka for affordable senior living with 24-hour nursing supervision, delicious meals, medication management, and activities. The Terrace is affordable and will work with your Medicaid plan. Go to rspseniorliving.com and look for the Terrace Private Assisted Living.
Welcome back to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. A federal appeals court this week heard arguments about whether President Trump can use a wartime law, the Alien Enemies Act, to deport immigrants. Let's talk about that and other legal cases in the news with KMOX legal analyst Brad Young, partner at Harris Dow Fisher & Young. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning, Megan.
So when we look at this case right now involving the Alien Enemies Act, what factors are the appeals court considering in this?
Well, it's interesting because this law was passed in 1798. And so the question becomes under this law, because this law provides and allows for the president to deport individuals without due process if it is a part of an invasion or a predatory incursion. So when the court is looking at this, the first question is going to be, is this influx of the gang members from Venezuela, are they actually agents of a hostile foreign government? That's the first question, which would be necessary to find an invasion. Secondly, and this is something the Supreme Court has already addressed, the Aliens and Enemies Act doesn't allow for any sort of due process or deportation hearings, but the Supreme Court's already said we're entitled, we being anyone in this country, is entitled to some degree of due process before people are sent out of the country, whether that applies under this Aliens and Enemies Act of 1798.
What group is challenging this?
Well, it's being challenged by people who are either being deported or are in the process of potentially being deported, and they certainly have a right to challenge this law because, as we saw, there was a lot of issues with the recent Abrego Garcia situation where he was deported to El Salvador, had to be brought back. Now he's going to be facing a trial. There's a real question about, do illegal immigrants or people who are here in this country illegally, do they have due process rights? And as we've seen in other situations, are those individuals citizens if they're born of folks who are here illegally? Those are all questions that the courts will be grappling with over the next year or two.
Does this set this up, especially this case, to go to the Supreme Court?
I think it does, because regardless of which side prevails in this Fifth Circuit, there's going to have to be a Supreme Court decision in order to give guidance to the entire country. In other words, this isn't just a Texas issue or a Florida issue. It's an issue literally across the country and certainly across the southern border. So this is certainly being teed up for examination by the Supreme Court.
We have a follow-up to a legal issue that you and I have talked about before on the air here. A bankruptcy judge has now approved the sale of that genetics firm 23andMe to a nonprofit that's actually run by one of the company's co-founders. And I'm wondering if this answers concerns that a lot of people had about that DNA data.
I don't think it does answer those questions, but let's lay it out. In this case, if folks give their DNA to 23andMe to try to see if they're Scottish or Irish or Lithuanian or whatever, that's literally the most private information that you have. And under the terms of service of 23andMe, they agreed to protect that data, but there was a loophole. In the terms of service, the loophole is that they do not agree to protect the data if it's sold to a third party. Well, 23andMe is in bankruptcy. It's being sold to a not-for-profit company that's actually formed by the previous CEO of 23andMe. So if 23andMe's successor company agrees to keep the data private, that's an agreement, but it's not a guarantee. And certainly under the terms of service with 23andMe, once this data is out in the public domain, it can be used for literally any purpose.
Let's, before we go, talk about a case involving legendary broadcaster Paul Harvey. Paramount being sued by his family for using his voice. What is the Harvey estate concerned about?
Well, there was a show. It's a show that I watch. It's called Landman. It's on Paramount streaming service. And the show involves the oil business and the oil drilling business. And in one of the episodes, there was a clip used, a 90-second audio clip was used of Paul Harvey, legendary broadcaster Paul Harvey. And right now in this country, you have a right to your own voice. And so there was no permission obtained from the estate of Paul Harvey. So they're suing, and the estate of Paul Harvey will prevail. It's a question of necessarily damages, but they will prevail because we all have an inherent right to the use of our voice and of our image.
We'll have to wait for the rest of the story, right?
Exactly. Good point.
All right. That is KMOX legal analyst Brad Young joining us this morning here on KMOX. Thank you so much, Brad.
Thanks, Megan.
I'm Joe Pott. This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
For years now, I have been talking about Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is St. Louis's real estate expert. Gloria Liu, broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. And here we are in one of the best times to sell your home, but the housing market is ever changing. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it changes again. Is there more inventory, less? Are home prices going up or down? You know what? If you have the right agent, you don't have to worry about any of that because Gloria is going to sell your home. She guarantees it. And in fact, she will sell your home for 100% of market value, or she will pay you the difference. She puts her guarantees in writing, and she has so many different ways to sell your home. So give her a call, tell her your situation, and I guarantee that Gloria is going to have a way to sell your home quickly and for the most money. 314-325-6888. You can find her online right now at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date. gloriahasthebuyers.com.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
It doesn't take a lot to make a big difference.
That's why we've teamed up with Jerry Kelly Heating and Cooling to bring you 100 acts of kindness.
For the next 6 months, the Chris and Amy Show is challenging you to spread kindness in simple, meaningful ways. No big budget needed.
Write a thank you note, help a neighbor, surprise someone with a smile. It all counts.
Let's prove that kindness is contagious. Share your acts with us by using hashtag 100KindActs.
Because a little kindness goes a long way.
This is Total Information AM on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch. I have noticed an increase in skunks in my neighborhood the last 2 summers, and unfortunately my dogs have too. So I need to know what it takes to get rid of them. I reached out to Drew Wallace. He is Critter Control's district field trainer here in the St. Louis area. I wanted to ask why we are seeing so many skunks right now.
June and July is when they give birth, so there's a lot of baby skunks around, and the mothers are working really hard to find enough food so that they can take care of all their babies.
Where are we likely to find them?
So the most common places we see them are underneath front porches and patios, and a lot of people have decks that are really low to the ground, and that offers a great place for them to dig underneath the deck and then kind of dig out a nice spot underneath there to build their nest, and then also underneath sheds.
So I'm pretty sure I've got a hole underneath one of my concrete slabs to one of my side doors, and I have a feeling that's where some of our skunks are. Would that be a pretty good guess?
Yeah, that sounds about a perfect place for them.
As a homeowner, what do I need to know about, number one, staying away from them, and number two, getting them out of my property?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, they're not aggressive. You don't have too much to worry about in terms of them attacking you or attacking any small kids or pets or anything like that. The biggest thing is just to, if you do see one, to give it plenty of space. They can spray accurately up to about 15 feet away, and they only do that as sort of a last resort. But yeah, give them plenty of space, and generally you won't have too much of an issue. But when it does come to them living underneath your foundation or a patio, that sort of thing, I mean, that's definitely something you'd want to take care of. And so what we usually do is it all kind of depends on the area, the exact spot where they're getting in at, but there's a good product that we use. It's called Dig Defense. It's pretty much a metal fence that can be hammered into the ground, and it goes underground about 16 inches. So that way, when they try to dig, they pretty much hit the metal fence and they are unable to get under there. But before we fully do that, we set up, it's called a one-way door. and it pretty much it allows them to exit throughout the door. It's kind of like a doggy door to where they can open it up from within, but then there's a spring that pretty much prevents them from getting back underneath, and something like that we leave in place for about a week or so just to make sure that they're all out of there before we take the door off and install the final piece of the fencing that can keep them out.
If they have nested on your property 1 year, is it likely that they will try to return?
So they usually have multiple dens within an area. So sometimes they'll just say if they're living underneath a spot on your house, they might just be there for a few days at a time and then go on to one of their other nesting spots and then return. And they only live in the wild to be about 2 or 3 years old, and they stay within about the males travel further, but on average about a 2-mile radius. So a lot of times they are still in the same general area. So if you've had them 1 year, it's pretty likely that they'll come back.
Yeah, my dogs have found out how far they can spray for 2 years running now. So
They can spray up about 15 to 20 feet, and then the smell travels very far. You can there's reports of it being able to be smelled over 1.5 miles away. So you definitely want to avoid having them spray at all costs, especially in a spot like that where it's right against the foundation of your house, to where if they spray underneath there, it could, depending on where, if it hits a wall and it's really concentrated, it could easily last weeks or months. And as I'm sure you know, the smell could be pretty unbearable inside the house.
yeah, it's delightful. So are they typically nocturnal? That seems to be when I feel like I see them the most.
Yeah, so they're primarily nocturnal. You can see them occasionally outside during the day, but most of the time you only see them at night.
And Drew, obviously, this is what you do for a living. Do you think this is the kind of pest that people do really need professional help getting off their property?
Yeah, I'd say it all comes down depending on the situation. If you just see them in your yard, they can damage yards by digging to find insects and worms to eat. But I'd say in general, unless you have them actually living at some place in your house, they don't cause much harm beyond that. But if you do have them living in your house, I definitely recommend seeking a professional to help deal with it.
All right. Well, I really appreciate the advice, and thank you so much for taking time with us this morning.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
And that is Drew Wallace with Critter Control in St. Louis. And this is just my mea culpa to my neighbors on that side of the house. That's why I haven't weeded on that side of the house, because I do not want to startle that skunk. Let's check the forecast for today before we get you a traffic update. Mostly sunny skies today. It is going to be warmer. We're expecting a high near 90. Real field temperatures are going to be in the mid 90s today. For tonight, clear skies, an overnight low around 71. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, hot, a high of 92. And then for your 4th of July, it's going to be hot, plenty of sunshine, a high of 96, and those real field temperatures could peak over 100 degrees for Friday. On Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, hot and humid, a high of 97, and Sunday, a mix of clouds and sun. Again, a thunderstorm possible on Sunday with a high of 91. Right now, we have sunny skies, 77 degrees in Florissant. It's 78 in St. Peters, and sunshine 77 downtown at the Arch.
Cardinals baseball starts at 11:35 today, but before that, we're going to talk to United Nations correspondent Pam Falk. She joins the show. Also, we're going to tell you how to be a better sports parent. That's all coming up, Chris and Amy, right after the news on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Folks, let's crack open an ice-cold Budweiser on this American holiday, the 4th of July. Budweiser is proud to continue their 15-year partnership with Folds of Honor. This is Tom Ackerman. Folds of Honor is an organization rooted in supporting military families in need. Service never stops, and neither will Budweiser. This year, proceeds from every 12-pack of Budweiser and Bud Zero sold go directly to Folds of Honor. So when you're thinking about cracking open an ice-cold Budweiser, you can also know that you are giving back. Budweiser is refreshing. It's great on a hot summer